at these AI videos of Joe Rogan reacting to videos in Israel of Bibi Netanyahu that he's claiming are AI.
Didn't see it.
You didn't see that?
No, not yet.
Oh, it's nuts. Apparently, the Joe Rogan podcast has been releasing videos that are just 100% AI.
Whoa.
It's weird.
That's pretty crazy.
You didn't see any of it?
No.
Here, Jamie, pull that up. Look at this. Check this out. Yeah, this is from a recent episode. Wow. They're saying it might be AI.
Okay, what are we looking at?
Yeah, so apparently he's just like in his studio, but look at that. Look at the way the light is shining off his head like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how light reflects off someone's head. That's just like, it's not natural.
No.
He doesn't even look like a human being. He looks like some weird mammalian species or something. I don't care how shiny your scalp is. Light does not reflect like that, especially if you're not out in, unless it's like natural moonlight, like real, like 100% natural moonlight. That can do it sometimes if you're out in the wilderness. And if there's no like white light from surrounding buildings or something, you might get that kind of reflection. But this is just, it's fake. It's weird.
Yeah, well, white light matters.
This is AI.
That's fake.
This is crazy.
Well, people have zoomed in on the...
So there he is, just like,
Yeah, what is this?
supposedly he's listening and watching clips of Netanyahu at a cafe or something, and he's claiming those clips are AI. But look how weird it looks. Look how he's looking off. But like, where's it coming from?
Yeah.
Right. And look at the light behind him. That neon. It's just like warping on the side there, and look at his hand. How he's pointing. Like that doesn't even look human.
Right.
How many fingers was that? Didn't it look like he had like 7 fingers? That might have just been camera angles. I don't know. Jamie?
I mean, people are analyzing the footage now and running it through Grok and stuff to see if it's AI.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
It's pretty crazy.
It's weird.
Totally.
They're trying to pass it off as like Joe just like reacting to clips, but I don't know, man. It's just something is off. It's way off here, man. And this has been verified. They've been checking this. It's like 100% AI.
Really?
I don't know why he's doing this.
Huh.
Then they put out a statement saying Israel wanted to attack Austin.
What?
Yes.
That's verified?
Yes, 100%.
What do they got against Austin?
Something about Greater Israel expanding into Texas. I was like, no. It's crazy, man.
Jesus.
Crazy.
You sure?
Yes, 100%.
Whoa.
That's verified.
BB wants Texas.
100%.
Jesus.
So anyway, Rogan just put these clips out. I mean, it's 100% AI.
That is nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah, that is wild.
It's crazy what people will believe.
Yeah. Some people.
Grace and peace, everybody. We're back. You saw the thumbnail? You saw the title. I figured we would give Ami a little hat tip. Let Ami get the party started. Shout out to Ami Kozak. Great content creator. And I had to say, that Joe Rogan voice is getting spot on. His impersonations are really, really serious. Shout out to Ami for sure, man. Thank you to everybody who's already jumped into the best live chat on the internet. Hopefully, we're going to have a great show today. I got a couple things I want to talk about. Some are controversial even. Some might even get, dare I say, might get you a little bit bothered, or dare I say, up in a kerfuffle, up in a stir. But that's what we're here to do. Shout out to the best live chat on the internet. Who we got up in here already? We already got the good people up in the building. All right, number one up in the Giselle. How are you? What's up to you? How are you? I see you. I see you, Kelly. Grace and peace to you. Juju be up in the building. There we go. There she is, my sister from another mister, the mental chiropractor in the building. Shout out to you for sure. Let me make sure. Mental chiropractor needs power. Why does mental chiropractor not have power? Well, we got to change that then. Like, why is it that she doesn't have power, Jason? Editor Jason, make that happen. Okay, got it. Editor Jason is on the prowl. He's gonna make it happen. Don't you worry. All right, you will have power very shortly. What's going on, Texas mother? How are you? Good to see you. Thank you so much for popping in. Drop your like number in the chat. Always appreciate that when y'all do that. Thank you so much. Helps grow the channel. Lets YouTube know that I'm doing something over here that y'all find value in. All that kind of good jazz. All right, with great power comes great responsibility. Mental chiropractor has power now. Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all coming up in here saying what's up to you people. Is he the same guy that does the TC? Yes, that is him. That is Ami. Absolutely. Great content creator. He's been on the channel before. We'll have to have him come back on again. But shout out to Ami Kozak. If the moderators could drop Ami's link in the chat so everybody can make sure they go over and check out what he's doing over there. He does some great work. What do you say, Ellie? Hi, Jay. How do you? What's happening? There he is, Mike in the building. Mike is a man. What's up? 14. There we go, my friend. How are you? Patricia said, hello, everybody. Be blessed. Be blessed. Absolutely. Lots of good commentary up in here. And you got power now. Comes great responsibility, though. Great responsibility. All right. Yesterday, I told you. Oh, by the way, get your group therapy hoodie as well as your group therapy shirt, too, by the way. They're on the website. Y'all, I told you yesterday, as sure as my name is Jason Tiberius Whitaker, the 8th, I told y'all that when ICE goes to the Atlanta airport, they will start protesting at the Atlanta airport. I know I told y'all that. I know I told you that. And last night, let me tell you, ICE got that doggone airport defrosted before my wife got home from work. So I don't remember what time it was yesterday morning, but by the time my wife got home from work, I think it was like 6 o'clock. The airport was thawed out. ICE had thawed out the airport. It was down to like an hour wait. Now it's like 17 minutes. They have fixed the Atlanta airport. But watch this. Did I not tell y'all that those good for nothing, ne'er-do-well people would start protesting? Yes, I did. Run the tape, Jason. Run the tape. We're going to watch this a couple times.
Every single day, I know that there are people organizing on the ground in their communities.
This is Atlanta Airport. Remember yesterday, all of those, remember yesterday, all those humans out there. Remember all that? Remember all those humans blocking up the street out here? Now the sidewalk is empty. Where do people go? They went to their destinations. They went to their vacations and their work meetings and went to go see grandma and all them people. And now the ne'er-do-wells are out here protesting ICE doing the job at the airport. Y'all, you can't make this stuff up. You just can't make it up. Matter of fact, in honor of them, we are going to look at why I think this happened. I'm going to tell you why I think it happened. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. Again, I'm trying to get y'all upset with me. I want you to be mad at me. The fact that Black people are crashing out over ICE tells you that we ain't got nothing better to do. We got nothing better to do than be involved in other people's business. This is a mind your own business situation. This ain't got nothing to do with me. Not a thing. This has nothing to do with me at all. And the fact that you are down there crashing out, being the face and the voice of this foolishness is a sin and a shame. Let me finish up.
It's life. It's life. Pay TSA, not ICE.
Okay, I'm gonna cut the audio off, but I just want y'all to look at these well-made signs. I need somebody to tell me that this is an organic is crazy word. Organic event. ICE out. Trump pay the TSA workers now. Is Trump the one that's not paying them? Y'all let me know that in the chat. Is Trump the one that's not paying them? Now, this guy has a cardboard sign. It looks like he actually wrote it out. He says, ICE is a terrorist organization. Prosecute them all. Sorry. Okay. All right. It's a terrorist organization. This is some crazy word. These people need something to do. Go get a job. But I told y'all this was going to happen. I knew it. I know Atlanta. I'm just telling you, I know Atlanta. And we just always want to be in the mix. We want to be in the mix. We want to be in something. In the words of Ice Cube, if I ain't into something, I don't feel right. And Atlanta doesn't feel right when they're not involved in something. They just got to be in it. And even though it don't have anything to do with me, ain't got nothing to do with me, I'm not going to take my happy, well-melanated self down to the airport and protest nothing. At the airport, for crying out loud, man, you do not want to get trespassed from the airport. Yo, big dumb self. Oh, they're being paid. That's unequivocal. I thought that was a guarantee. I just want to know how they filling out W-2s. Look out. All right, real quick. Shout out to this. This is not big enough at all, Jason. What are you doing? This is one of the moderators sent me this. I've realized that some people don't want solutions to their problems. So yesterday we saw the problem. What was the problem? Thousands and thousands of people trying to get through TSA, and there's only 2 or 3 people working, right? They want permission to keep complaining. So when ICE came in there and got them people through TSA, check and got them on their planes and got them off, that ruined these people's opportunity to sit around and bellyache and complain and gripe and moan about foolishness. They want sympathy without change. They want to vent without accountability. And honestly, that's exhausting to witness. At some point, staying stuck becomes a choice, and I can't respect that. I'm trying to tell you right now. All right, so there was an excellent content creator. His name is Brian Maxwell. I had to say I haven't watched him before. I watched him today give a breakdown of what happened with the entire whoop-to-do with TSA on Monday. This is very troubling, but I think sadly these people didn't realize that they just confirmed what ICE does by Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, AOC blocking and stopping the funding of DHS, and ICE having to come in now and take over TSA. They now have shown what TSA does. How many of those people yesterday were probably, left adjacent, but they missed the flight? They had to be there 8 hours early. I saw yesterday on the news, somebody had to get there 6 hours early and they still missed their flight. And how many of those people now are like, yo, I'm not voting for these clowns anymore. I'm not voting for these people anymore. And I think that's what happened. By them doing that and Trump sending ICE, he has now shown that ICE, this is what ICE can do. And he's not the problem. It's them. So as I said yesterday, if you still vote for them, y'all, you need to deal with that. That's your own burden to bear. That's your burden to bear because it's not ours. No, we voted for this. We didn't vote for that foolishness that we saw yesterday. It was insane. Okay. Oh no, I heard 8 hours. Yeah. And still missed the flight. Yeah, this is some crazy work. People sleeping at airports. That was bonkers, man. So let's pull this in. Shout out to, what did I say his name was? How did I do that again? Brian Maxwell. All right. Shout out to Brian Maxwell. Good content creator. If the moderators could drop his link in the chat, that I see somebody already said they already know about him. Shout out for sure. If you could please drop his link in the chat, that would be extra helpful. Let me pull this brother up in here. And his video is called Checkmate. Shout out to him. Let's go.
All right, Patriots. Well, Trump has done it again. He has completely checkmated the Democrats and have foiled their plans. And you know what their plans are? When they did that initial shutdown, was that late last year or was that early this year? The shutdown that they did, I think it was around November, around Thanksgiving time. AOC is on record saying that they didn't bring enough pain to the American people.
What they're learning is that Democrats are weak, and that next time we just need to hurt working people and working Americans more. Hurt working people and working Americans more to get them to fold.
And that the next time they would make sure that it's done the right way. And that's what they're going about now. And let's be clear, you may already know this, but ICE and CBP are fully funded all the way to year 2029 with $100 billion. So nothing that the Democrats is doing is impacting ICE or CBP's ability to work. And that's what this supposedly was all about. That's what they're selling to their ignorant base who does no research. Most don't even realize ICE is already funded. Now, what the Democrats want is judicial warrants on every.
So this is very interesting because I really didn't know that ICE was already funded. Well, I'm sorry. I knew ICE was already funded. I didn't know to that extent, almost, 4 years into the future, they're already taken care of. So then why are we doing this? Listen to what they wanted. And when they were given certain things that they wanted, what their response was.
Single deportation. They want the ICE agents to wear body cameras, which the administration agreed to do. And the moment the administration agreed to do it, they pulled it back. Because they thought the Trump administration was going to buck at it. They said, no, that's cool. What the Democrats realize is that the body camera, it works both ways. It also shows the deranged activists out there infringing and obstructing on their investigations, what will make it look bad. So they want to put.
So, and when we do body cam, we see that all the time. Sure, we've seen some things that we don't know if the officer was doing the right thing, if he or she was making the right decision. But a lot of the time we see people like, yo, you don't need to take that to court. Your lawyer is not going to want to see that. So the body cam works again both ways and is super helpful. So, hey, they were willing to do that. And imagine if you owned a body cam company.
Go back. So they want judicial warrants, body cameras, and they want ICE to be unallowed, not allowed to be at churches, which they don't do now, going in schools, which they don't do now.
Stop. This is interesting. Pay attention. I did not know this. Okay, let me back up a little smidgen because we got to get a running start. Okay, where do they not want ICE to go? Churches, schools, hospitals, right? That's the three I knew about. There's another one that I didn't know about. Had you heard this? Put in the chat if you've already heard the 4 places they did not want ICE agents to go to: schools, churches, hospitals. But what's the other one? Had you heard of it? Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tina. I appreciate it. I mean, Future. Thank you, Future. Had y'all heard this one? I'm just looking real quick to see if anybody says it. Oh, no. Said, I was thinking about going to the Cleveland Pittsburgh airport. Both are an hour from me. Ooh, in my maroon J-Wit hoodie. That would have been, I'm sorry, that would have won the internet today. That would have won the internet, Lori. You would have won. You would have won today. If you had done that, I probably would have said, polling places. Yes, I did not know that. Why do they want to not have ICE agents at polling places? That's such a weird place. You might as well, I'm like, why don't you say Kroger or something, or Quick Trip? Why do they not want ICE agents at polling places? What are illegal aliens doing at polling places? Check this out. This was crazy.
To be unallowed, not allowed to be at churches, which they don't do now, going in schools, which they don't do now. And you ready for this last one? At polling stations. Now, while the Democrats run around saying no illegal immigrants ever vote, why would any American citizen give a darn if ICE is at the polling station? Unless you're an illegal immigrant voting, which in California, we already found over 430,000 illegal immigrants were registered to vote and had voted because they have been selected for jury duty, but could not participate because they weren't American citizens. But they get their jury duty pool from the voter rolls.
You know, the California court system is running into a little bit of an issue. See, they have a lot of court. So because of that, they need a lot of juries. But here's the problem they keep running into. Last year alone, they brought in people for jury duty and found that more than 450,000 of them didn't qualify. You know why they didn't qualify? They didn't qualify because they weren't citizens. Now, if that doesn't sound like a big deal to you, it's because you don't know how jury selection works. Because do you know where they get the list of people to bring in as a jury? The registered voter rolls. That's how you register for jury duty. When you register to vote, are determined to be eligible to vote, you are then eligible for jury duty. So what that means is that California had at least 450,000 people who were registered to vote, but were not citizens. Meaning that's 450,000 people in California who are illegally registered to vote.
That's crazy. That is bonkers.
So that's exposed right there. Now, in this video, you're going to hear from Hakeem Jeffries, who Dana Bash, you know, I never want to give CNN any credit, but she's going to push him on this whole fiasco they caused. You're also going to hear from Tom Homan, the border czar, who has been getting it done. And you're going to hear what President Trump had to say, because the Democrats didn't expect this. And even Elon Musk volunteered to pay the salaries of the TSA agents. And the only thing with that, I believe the funds have to come from a government agency. So how Elon would have worked that, who knows? But it's the fact that that's a billionaire who was willing to put his money where his heart is. And he was going to help out to make these lines better. Matter of fact, my wife is literally flying back from Denver, Colorado. Right now, she's on the plane as I make this video. And her wait time, she got through it in about an hour and a half. But her flight was one of the first flights leaving out this morning at 7 a.m. And she said it was building up. But have no fear. Donald Trump's plan and Tom Homan's arrangement is here. So let's get into it. Trump outsmarts Democrats while they refuse to fund airport security. So let's make sure that we fully understand exactly what's going on. This is the airport right now. Most airports around the country. That is massive. And
Did y'all hear that music playing? Okay, here in Atlanta, they actually hired musicians to come and play music for these long lines. That's how bad it was. They have, musicians. I'm surprised they didn't have a dance party. Like, it's absolutely crazy work. But yeah, this is some insanity, y'all. Shout out, man. Let's keep this going.
A little over 400 TSA agents have called out or resigned. And I get it. They haven't gotten paid in a month, which makes things like putting gas in your car, buying groceries, paying your electric bill. Hopefully everybody was caught up on their electric bill or their cell phone bill, or else that stuff is getting shut off. And what do they do? And this is all because the Democrat Party wants to protect illegal immigrants. Let's make sure we always remember that. Never forget that they did this. Now, Patriots, thank you for watching. And if you would, YouTube's algorithm loves it when they see a like or a comment. So if you're enjoying the video, hit that like button and leave a comment. It really helps the video be spread out and share this information with more Patriots and more MAGA members and people want to see the country great again. And if you're not subscribed already, subscribe. And when you do, hit that notification bell and select all. We really appreciate it. Now I'll get back to the content. Can you imagine if they ever were given power again, what they are willing to do? They're going to destroy the filibuster, pack the Supreme Court, move to take our weapons away. But listen to Fox News as they break this story down. Then you're going to hear from Tom Homan and Hakeem Jeffries as he is in the hot seat, finally. But check this clip out.
Trump confirming that ICE agents will be in airports, writing on Truth Social. On Monday, ICE will be going to airports to help our wonderful TSA agents who have stayed on the job despite the fact that the radical left Democrats, who are only focused on protecting hardline criminals who have entered our country illegally, are endangering the USA by holding back the money that was long ago agreed to with signed and sealed contracts and all.
More than 1,300 flights across the U.S. are already delayed this morning. Madeline Rivera is in Washington with the latest. Good morning, Maddie.
Yeah, so this is to address those staffing shortages. DHS says more than 400 TSA agents have left as they continue to go without pay. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says the employees have been put in a corner.
They're staying at a five-star hotel while the island's electrical grid has collapsed for the second time in a week.
That was the wrong video.
The island of Cuba is in complete darkness because of years of poor maintenance and decay.
Okay. Okay, well, the president saying on Truth Social, like you said, Griff, that ICE will be going to airports to help the wonderful TSA agents. The president saying that these agents will do a fantastic job. He says Tom Homan is in charge. But this comes after Republicans blocked a Democratic measure on Saturday to fund TSA, but not ICE and CBP. Senate Majority Leader John Thune called the gambit a convoluted approach to go around the Senate Appropriations Committee. He says Democrats are the ones who have continually blocked a bill to fund all of DHS, including TSA. One thing to watch this week, guys, is the confirmation of Senator Mark Wayne Mullen as DHS Secretary. His nomination will now be considered by the full Senate, where he just needs a simple majority. During his confirmation hearing.
So there you have it. Trump said, okay, you don't want to do your job. You don't want to do what you need to do, Democrats. And TSA agents, those that stuck around, we know you heard, and we're going to send some help for you. They're in airports right now, this morning, doing what it is that they need to do. But let's check out Tom Homan and what he had to say, because he was on the same show that Hakeem Jeffries comes on. Hakeem Jeffries is after him. But let's listen to Tom Homan and pay attention to the propaganda. Realize something. CNN is last in cable news network as far as on viewership, last. Sponsorship dried up. They just got bought out by Ellison, who is a MAGA guy, and they're terrified. Matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a video on that soon. They're terrified because they know Jake Tapper and Anderson Cooper, their days are numbered, especially Abby Phillip. She need to be the first one booted out of there. And so they've gone full commie. They're doing puff pieces for Iran. Why would the Iranian Islamic regime feel comfortable with only CNN being invited in? They're not. They're nowhere near the highest rated network. They have very low viewership. Less than 500,000 people watch CNN during prime time. Less than 500,000. That is extremely low. And at one point in time, they were respected, but not anymore. It is because of propaganda like this. Everybody can see they're an extended arm of the Democrat Party, and now they're working on behalf of dictators, of Arab dictators. But listen to her as she tries to spin this. But Tom Homan stays smooth, calm, steady, and he handles it. Check this out. On the heels of all of the stuff that's taking place in the country right now, seniors, it's extremely important that you make sure you've got the best Medicare plan available, because this year,
put together a plan today, and we'll execute tomorrow.
Okay, so there are a lot of questions here. First of all, are ICE agents even remotely trained to handle security at airports?
ICE agents receive a high level of training. And, the ICE agents are assigned at many airports across the country already. They do a lot of criminal investigation on smuggling at airports. But, there's got TSA agents covering exits, people that enter through the exits. Certainly a highly trained ICE law enforcement officer can cover an exit, makes people don't go through those exits, entering the airport through the exits. And that would stuff like that relieves that TSA officer to go to screening and to reduce those lines. So wherever we can provide extra security, I don't see an ICE agent looking at an x-ray machine because they're not trained in that. There are certain parts of security that TSA is doing that we can move them off those jobs and put them in the specialized jobs, help move those lines.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So what you're saying is when you move ICE into airports, they are going to be just around the exits and the exteriors. They're not going to be helping people get through the lines and screening people's bags.
Those discussions are going on now. I'm not expert at TSA, so that's why I'm talking to the TSA administrator and the ICE director, find out where we can fit in. We'll have a plan by the end of today where we're sending, what airports we're starting with and where we're sending them. But that's a discussion we're having right now. I ended the discussion to do the show, and I'll be back having the discussions when I finish. So it's a work in progress, but we will be at the airports tomorrow.
Yeah, that was a dumb question, though. Like the assumption. Like, again, there's so many instances as a former school teacher, we would always love when parents volunteered. We would love for parents to volunteer to come to school. If we're doing field day or there was going to be some big event, we want as many parents as possible. Does that mean the parents going to be teaching? Does that mean that the parents are going to be working directly with kids? No, it doesn't necessarily mean that. What it does mean is that we need some bodies. We need bodies in place to help make a difference. Like, come on, man. That was really embarrassing. Somebody said she's a disgrace. That was a disgraceful question. That was really a dumb question. Like, why do you want, I don't think TSA, now watch this. If TSA is responsible for wanding down people, they can do that. If when you go through pre-check and they take your license, they put it through and make sure it matches, they could do that. So again, like why act dumb? And it just makes you look bad. And y'all already down bad.
So, she's trying to be so negative on it as if ICE agents who are out here running down the worst hombres in the country, nabbing them up, booting them out of this country. She acts like it is just so challenging to stand there and watch people walk through a metal detector. And if it goes off, to take the wand and wave it around them. And like Tom Holman said, they may not be looking at the x-ray screens because they have not been trained on how to look for anomalies in baggage and things like that.
Yeah.
But protecting the door, helping to remove unruly passengers, snatching up and nabbing illegal immigrants. Now, on a longer clip, she asked about that. Like, so are they going to be enforcing immigration at the airport? And Dana Bash knows that the ICE has been at airports since last year. As a matter of fact,
Right.
TSA shares the flight law or the flight manifest with ICE, where they run through the names that are going to be getting on the plane, and they know if an illegal immigrant is on it. She knows that. But again, their purpose is to spin. It's the Communist News Network. Now, let's listen to the TSA assistant director. Then we're going to get into Hakeem Jeffries. Let's listen to what he has to say about it. While the Democrats act like, oh, my God, it's just such a terrible thing. Let's listen to how one of the directors of TSA feels about it.
As the days continue, this is going to continue to get worse. We are certainly grateful, of course, for President Trump, Director Lyons, and Boris Holman for the ICE support. And they're going to be conducting non-specialized security support, manning the exit lanes, crowd management, line control. So we're incredibly grateful, again, for their support to help alleviate the challenges that our officers are facing, that the traveling population is facing. But we're hopeful, but we're going to continue to focus on the mission. And if this drags on, it's going to continue to get worse. But we are certainly hopeful as the days continue.
There you have it. He's happy. He's grateful. The only people not grateful are the Democrats. See, Trump plays 5D chess with these politicians. He's a businessman that went up against the mob in the 70s, went up against the NFL in the 80s when he was a part owner of the USFL. He went up against the United States government from 2023 and 2024. and then beat back the deep state, the entire Democrat Party, and the lamestream legacy media to regain the presidency of the United States. Snatched up Maduro in 3 minutes from a secret hideout base, has just completely obliterated Iran, has called out the other NATO partners and exposed their unwillingness to join us until all the heavy lifting has been done. Like now, how all of them are jumping on the Iran train. Why? Because they know America has done the job. If it was going bad, like the lamestream media and the Democrats wanted you to believe, the UK, Japan, and all of those that are sending support ships and everything now, they would stay way away from it. But that's not what's happening. So let's listen to this Democrat as he tries to blow smoke, and listen to how Hakeem Jeffries spins this. One thing I will say about Hakeem Jeffries, and it's not a positive thing, but it's what he does. He will spin things that he knows is a bold-faced lie. And he does it with vigor and with energy and will make a dumb person believe it. Hakeem Jeffries is the example of sounding smart to dumb people. Democrats only sound intelligent to ignorant people. Anybody with a brain and common sense and the ability to really listen and listen with the intent to understand realizes Democrats don't say anything meaningful. They have no plan. They speak in circles and talk in all of these one-liners and make people say, whoa, yeah, we got to help people pay their bills and make life more affordable. Well, no crap. But to an ignorant person, they like, right on, you got my vote. But they never said how or how much or how long. They never do. They never do. But check this out.
Well, let me ask you about that, because you are the whole reason, as you just laid out, that DHS is not funded right now is because you're trying to push the administration to enact some policy changes on how Border Patrol and ICE act when they're out looking for illegal immigrants. And now what you're saying is that you're okay with funding TSA, which has been, I think, the biggest point of leverage that you possibly had in order to get what you want on ICE, because ICE already has its money. So what was the point of the shutdown if you're okay with funding TSA?
Good question, Dana. Well, that was a great question that we typically don't see from this network. Y'all, this is when you know it's going bad. When the lamestream media starts saying, holy crap. And there's a girl that named Simone that works on BS now, MSDNC. Oh my God, she completely went in. Matter of fact, I'll share that clip too. She completely went in on Democrats, but I'll let him finish.
Never approach these things that are in front of us with respect to government funding in the context of leverage. Our approach is, what is the appropriate use of taxpayer dollars? And we believe that taxpayer dollars should be used to make life more affordable for the American people.
No crap.
Not brutalize or kill them or violently target law-abiding immigrant families, which is what we know ICE agents have been doing.
I'm just trying to understand how, if you fund TSA and the other agencies that you just talked about, how you think that you will be able to put pressure then on the administration to make the changes to ICE that you're asking for.
The American people are going to continue to put pressure on the administration because
that's him right there giving up. Giving up. He know that they've lost. So now he's putting it on the people to be disruptive. These folks, I apologize for stopping them, but
ICE is out of control. They need to be reined in. And our view is that they should not get another dime of taxpayer dollars until we have bold and dramatic and meaningful changes to ICE's behavior so that they are compelled to behave like every other law enforcement agency in the country. That includes making sure that there are judicial warrants that are required before ICE agents can rip the American people out of their homes in the middle of the night.
Let me.
Now he knows, and the Democrats know, judicial warrants would slow the process down, and we'd never deport anybody. They know that that's a non-starter. They know, and then they're not bringing up the $1.5 trillion they also want to fund illegal immigrants. This is why the Save America Act is so important. Now, Simone from MSDNC completely ripped Democrats. Check this out.
You know, I have been warning about this for weeks, and now here we are. In trying to oppose the SAVE Act, Democrats have actually backed themselves into a corner, and now we're potentially staring down a vote on a national voter ID bill. Let me ask a very simple question. Since when is the Democratic Party for voter ID? Because let's be very clear about what is actually happening. The Save America Act is not about voter ID. It is about requiring proof of citizenship, talking passports, birth certificates. Some of these are papers that millions of eligible Americans do not have access to. Oh, and if you are a married woman who has changed your last name,
oh my gosh.
well, good luck. This is a completely different standard. But instead of forcing that distinction, instead of solely having that conversation, the conversation has now collapsed into you support voter ID or not. And that, folks, is a trap. Because the argument for voter ID is actually built on a premise that does not hold up. People are not showing up to the polls pretending to be someone else in droves. That's actually not a widespread problem. We already verify identity in multiple ways throughout the country. Signature matching, right? Flawed, but a way to verify.
This woman just said signature matching.
That's
Flawed,
crazy.
but a way to verify. You see how nonsensical they actually are? And this whole shtick about married women, I was recently married 3 years ago. Do you know what my wife had to get? She had to show proof of her birth or her passport and her ID in order for us to even do that, to get to be married. And she did her name change.
Voter files, database check.
In order to get her name changed, she had to provide proof of citizenship. And guess what? She did it without a problem.
Yeah, I was married.
It costs less than $50 to order a birth certificate online. And in different municipalities, it's even cheaper, but $50. And to get a passport is about $180. And you can get it expedited and get it delivered in a few weeks. So when they use this weak excuse, this is how people know they full of it. But let me let her finish.
Throughout the country. Signature matching, right? Flawed, but a way to verify. Voter files, database checks. I mean, in everyday life, you can move money, verify who you are without pulling out a physical ID. So what problem are we actually solving here? We're not solving one. What this does is shift the frame from access to restriction. And once you concede that frame, you are no longer arguing about whether people can vote. You're actually arguing about how hard it should be.
And it should be hard. It should not be easy for anybody to just jump in our elections and vote. That should be extremely challenging. These people are deranged.
Because of that shift, we are talking about a national voter ID bill while the Save America Act is still looming in the background. I clearly have a lot of thoughts. I have a lot of questions. We had Senator Jackie Rosen of Nevada on our show Thursday night, and we pressed her about it. I asked her all of the things I just said to you here. And this is what she had to say.
Schumer is saying that Democrats would vote for a national voter ID bill. And now at least there's one Republican senator that is talking about bringing it to the floor under unanimous consent. Signature, I don't think the question on the table isn't whether people want to verify who they are when they go to vote. But voter ID is about the fact that Republicans are saying that people are going to vote as other people who they aren't. That's not an issue in America. So why would Democrats support that? You know,
and that's not what Republicans are saying. No. And she knows that. Republicans are not saying people are showing up voting as somebody else. They're saying people are voting that shouldn't be voting at all. People are voting that should not have IDs. And now we know that China was sending driver's licenses over. And there were plenty of people that utilized fake identification to go into these polling stations, like in California, where you could just sign and say, yes, I am who I say I am. And the vote is in California, it's illegal to ask for ID. And in the other blue states, if you don't have your ID, they just have you sign an affidavit saying, I am who I say I am. And guess what? Vote counted. So she's manipulating and twisting it.
Good catch.
I'm not sure what Leader Schumer was talking about, but I can tell you this. I guess we ought to have a conversation.
Seems like Democrats need to have a conversation. You know,
So she's panicking over the fact that all of this shutdown stuff was about illegal immigrants not having ICE show up at polling stations. And now the Save America Act is right in the mix of this. And Chuck Schumer just the other day when press said, yeah, he supports voter ID and he would vote for it. So now he has fell into it. You said this publicly, Chucky boy. So if you're okay with voter ID, what's the big deal with requiring proof of citizenship? And then he's lying, saying that Doge and Elon Musk created an algorithm. And what he does, he's double talks ignorant people. He says tens of millions will be kicked off the voter rolls. He's absolutely right. Tens of millions of illegal immigrants that are on our voter rolls that shouldn't be there will be booted off. He's admitting out loud, there's tens of millions of these people in here voting in these elections, and they know it. Blue states are refusing, all of them have refused to turn over their voter rolls, even though that's a federal law. So now the government is suing these states. These Democrats have never fought this hard for the American people, ever. Ever. They never cried hard for an American like Laken Riley and Dakar Thompson like they did for Renee Good and Alex Preddy. Never.
Say that part.
Never. They never fought for the people. And they keep talking, oh, we got to make it more affordable. No crap, Sherlock. But you're out here making life more unaffordable. In every blue state where they had a new mayor, a new governor, the people are hurting worse than what they did under Biden. They're so evil. They're not even letting people take advantage of President Trump's no tax on tips, no tax on overtimes in blue states. If you had not heard, they're not adhering to it.
Right.
And it's all over the fact of they know without illegal immigrants, they lose seats in Congress. Without illegal immigrants, they lose millions of votes. Without illegal immigrants, the reign of the Democrat Party is over for the next 20, 30, 40 years unless they make a serious transition, which I just don't see. They're so far left extremists, that party's going to die out and a new one is going to take its place. And the far left extremists of the Democrat Party will become a small little party that won't mean anything. Something else is going to take its place. Just like the far right extremists, neocons, they're going to have to break off and do their own thing because MAGA doesn't roll like that. It's make America great again, not bring racism back, not bring outrage and taking people's lives back over disagreeing. It's about being Americans and fighting under the flag for one another, the red, white, and the blue. So I just wanted to bring you this. And if you stayed and you watched it up to this point, I thank you from the top and bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate you.
And the bottom.
If you haven't already, hit that like button. And if you are not subscribed already, subscribe. Most importantly, though, y'all, make sure that you stay safe and that you be great. I'm Brian Maxwell saying I look forward to seeing you at the top.
Great.
Over and out, y'all.
All right. All right. That was Brian Maxwell. Shout out to Brian. That was good. I like that. Now, you may have seen this. You may have seen this. Well, because the Democrats have caused such a kerfuffle and ruining these airlines' bottom line. Well, let me just let you read the headline. Delta temporarily ends all travel perks for members of Congress as partial shutdown continues. They said, man, you messing with our money. You messing with our money. All right, Atlanta. As the flyers stand in security lines for hours on end over partial government shutdown, Delta Airlines says it is suspending special perks for members of Congress when it comes to air travel. What kind of special perks were they getting? I want to know that part. That's what I need to know. What were they getting? And we need to know this. Due to the impact on resources from the longstanding government shutdown, man, it's crazy. Delta will temporarily suspend specialty services to members of Congress flying Delta. Next to safety, Delta's number one priority is taking care of our people and customers, which has become increasingly difficult in the current environment. Up till now, members of Congress have been able to get VIP airport escorts and other special services from Delta and other airlines. Delta is ending perks temporarily right now, though a special reservation line for lawmakers remains open. Okay. For days now, people flying through Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport and airports across the country have had to wait in massive security lines as members of the Transportation Security Administration have either called out from work or quit their jobs because they are currently not being paid. All right. Did I read? Sorry about that. The move comes as Texas U.S. Representative John Cornyn introduced a bill in the U.S. House of Representatives called the End Special Treatment to Congress and Air Act. That is the craziest thing. That is a wild thing. In the bill, Cornyn said the special treatment needs to end. Instead of enduring the same travel tribulations and security requirements that everyone else has to meet, members of Congress are getting an unfair perk, while TSA officers have to work without pay. The bill reads, this legislation would ensure that no federal funds or resources will be used by TSA moving forward to provide members of Congress with these special privileges. In other words, Congress is going to have to live with the laws that everybody else has to live with. I don't know how that's even, how are we debating that? I want to see how the vote went. Delta CEO Ed Baston spoke out about the partial shutdown last week, calling it unacceptable. It's inexcusable that our security agents, frontline workers, central to what we do, are not being paid. It's ridiculous to see them used as political chips. No argument for me. No argument for me at all. We're outraged. Over 90% of the American public supports these people getting paid. Ask our folks in Washington to do their job and get our people paid. They can do it, Bastion said. Shout out, man. No argument for me. I agree. I don't know why certain perks are even being metered out, but I guess I can kind of see it. But why? Why do they get perks? Why do they get to do things that other people don't? That they don't have to go through the security line like everybody? No, Chucky Schumer, I need you to stand in line, Hakeem. I need you standing in line, AOC, just like everybody else, just like the great unwashed. Okay. y'all ain't giving them no room, no cover. Absolutely. No, the Democrat Party is the Communist Party of the United States. Tell the truth. That's just it. Yo, real quick, man. Thank you so much, Doc, for the 10. Thank you so much. And sponsoring the stream. Stream sponsor. I need to make you the stream sponsor. He says this: if ICE were delivering the cure for cancer at local hospitals, these clowns would be protesting at every hospital, rooting for cancer. Their common sense is held hostage by their political loyalty. Shout out to Dr. Altoids. I appreciate it, brother. Man, thank you so much for that. And that's a very keen observation. They would definitely be fighting. You know it. You know it. You know this. Let me make you the stream sponsor real quick. Do that while I'm sitting there talking, trying to do two things at the same time. And we're going to see if we can do it. Dr. Altoids in the building. All right. So let's do this. Today I said we were going to look at Charlie Kirk. And I thought it would be interesting. Let's look at his Oxford debate. He was at Oxford Union. I don't remember exactly when. When was this? Hold on. When was he at Oxford Union? He was there. Okay, this was dropped 9 months ago. So within the last year, he was at Oxford Union. And I thought it was really interesting because I want to hear how he argues, with college students and young adults in another place. So I thought that was super interesting. And I think we can get some good stuff out of it. So let's go ahead and do that, ladies and gentlemen. With no further ado. Wait, who has crazy hair? I don't have crazy hair. Wait, somebody said somebody's got crazy hair. Crazy hair guy? I'm not know what you mean. What you mean? Yeah, they're going to get back pay for sure. Yeah. Oh, the Oxford debate. No, this guy had, I don't think this is a guy. I might know who you're talking about, but again, maybe I don't. Let's do this. Green hearts in the chat when you can hear. Let's go.
So
Thank
much. And I'm going to shoot to Q&A. So
Would you like me? The show trial will begin.
Well, you know what? I'll take that back. This is a Q&A. So it's a Q&A style. He just did a lecture. And if y'all want, we can watch that one day or whatnot. He just kind of explained why they need freedom of speech, very akin to the First Amendment here in the United States, in the UK. And then now they're going to the Q&A portion where they're going to ask questions. Okay, here we go.
I think one of the best ways to bolster an argument, to construct an argument, is to foresee potential counter arguments and to address them. And because you've been doing this for quite some time and you're well versed in what you believe, in your ideologies and your beliefs, if you were in my position, what would you ask yourself that would be most effective in challenging those core tenets?
Thank you for that question. I didn't expect that. So respectful and thoughtful. I don't know if you're a liberal or not. I don't know, but because it's implied in your question that you are. Is that correct or not? Because you said, what would you believe as your core tenets? I don't know. But anyway, do you want to remark?
I take it as a compliment.
Okay,
No,
great. Okay, that's fine. Always come into every conversation believing that you might be wrong and that you might learn something. And you guys go here to a ridiculously old institution that has some of the greatest thinkers that I admire, Tolkien, Lewis, the list goes on.
Shut up.
I don't know the core canon of what you are studying, but I can definitely tell you in America, there is a de-emphasis of the thinkers and of the writers that were once, let's just say, embedded within the core curriculum of a place like this. And I would encourage all of you that are intellectually honest, that are on the left, that are liberals, to know what conservatives believe better than conservatives. Read our literature. Read C.S. Lewis, Mere Christianity. Go read Edmund Burke. Go read Russell Kirk, of which I share a name, no relation. Go read Milton Friedman. Understand it. Spend time with it. Treat it with respect. Don't just do it as a passerby, because the very few, and there's a couple, right-wing students in this room, they've done that to all the left-wing ideas. No, it's fine. I'm calling them out. Because they've done that with the left-wing ideas. They've had to. You cannot proceed in many universities without having to reckon and reconcile with that. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. I just want to quickly follow on
Sure.
from that. I did my undergrad in the US, and so
What school?
Michigan State.
Oh, go Spartans! Yeah,
Spartans. So I've, here and there, I've been labelled leftist, rightist. So I've heard it all.
I hate labels, honestly. It's ridiculous. So you seem very sweet. So yeah.
Thank you. And I wanted to know if you believe that, I know your views on college education specifically in the US, and that you believe that it does not deliver what it should. Do you think that, whether right or wrong, that because you don't have that degree, your influence within society might be restricted compared to, for example, Jordan Peterson?
Yes. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No,
Keep going.
That's, yeah.
You're exactly right. This is a barrier that I have to overcome. I did not go to university or college. I just went straight into doing stuff. And a criticism I get is, well, you didn't go to college, therefore you're not capable of dialoguing. That is.
I'm going to jump in real quick. And this is something I think we need to do. I think the heat and the smoke that Charlie Kirk gets is really because we don't see any other path to victory apart from going to college. Now, I am a college graduate. My wife is a college graduate. I have a college student, and I have another one that will one day be a college student. That being said, I have many, many friends who've never touched the grounds of a college at all. They went to the military. I have tons of friends also who never touched the grounds of a college campus at all. They went straight into business, went straight into a trade. So I do think we need to level that playing field, and we don't need to elevate college so high and look down with disdain the military, or down with disdain to trade, or down with disdain to just going to work, and treat that like that's like a second class, third class citizen. But oh, you went to college. I think that's part of the problem and why Charlie Kirk catches all that smoke. Because if we level the field and everybody was level and say, hey, college student, tradesman, military person, and looked at them the same, a lot of this smoke that Charlie Kirk was getting would not have happened, because we would see everybody as being valuable in society, and we would look at the value that they add, not just the degrees that they have. Because I think it's really like a DIE type of thing, where, oh, well, you got this degree, so you must have some kind of value. Not necessarily. That doesn't necessarily mean anything. Okay, let's go. Finish up.
Inherently an argument from an authority. But yes, that is a good argument if you want to be taken seriously, because it's, of course, a barrier. Because it actually only motivates me more to learn more and to dive deeper and to become better understanding of these ideas. But yes, there is at least in the States, of which you studied your undergrad, there is an emphasis on the credential. However, that also plays into my core argument as the indictment of the current state of the academy. If it is a credential, then it's a very expensive, time-intensive credential just to be able to have people take you more seriously. And that is kind of like the downfall of what do you do instead of like, where did you go? And I don't like that.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you something you probably never talked about.
Never.
Yeah, abortion.
Oh, yeah.
Never talked about
Now,
that.
if you make an argument I never heard, I will give you great credit.
Yeah, I wanted to basically try to determine whether you, as you, I believe, believe that abortion in case of rape should be illegal because of the right to life being absolute, or that the right to life is supposed to be weighted against autonomy and freedom, but just the burden of carrying a child of a rapist is simply insufficient to justify abortion. And if I may, I would use a thought experiment for that.
Is it the violinist?
a modified version of
Yeah,
it.
see, I've heard it all, man. So you got it. It's Oxford. You got to go deeper, man. I'm going to be honest. Like, I got hundreds of hours on this topic. Give me something I haven't heard.
It is deeper. So the question is whether you would, if anyone doesn't know the argument, I'm going to just spell it out in the modified version. So the Society of Music Lovers has determined that your wife is the only person that can save the life of a famous violinist. They have kidnapped her and their circulatory systems are currently attached. She can detach from the violinist. It will be safe for her, but it will lead to the violinist's death. The question is, would you be willing to force her to stay attached to the violinist for 9 months? And then the next question is, would your answer change if it was 10, 11, 12 months, her whole life? If perhaps she was supposed to be bedridden for the whole time to increase, for the sake of, well, seeing what happens if the burden significantly increases.
Well, the second part of the
Okay, that question is, I'm sorry, that question is retarded. I've never heard that question before. There are so many presuppositions and problems from the word go with that, sir, just say the woman was hard and you want to just say that. Like these hypotheticals don't change, because what you would ever do, this is 1,000 questions in one. Yeah, there was a lot of questions. There were a lot of questions in that question alone. But hypotheticals are not the case. Like, we're talking about a real situation. And I do think one of the problems I think men do themselves a disservice is I think we treat this situation extremely flippant. Okay. We do it very flippantly. I don't know. I believe that men that are women should be killed. They should get the death penalty. If you are charged with rape, you should get the death penalty, male or female. Goodbye. Your value to society has completely diminished. That's it. Now, the funny thing is, or the thing that might make you scratch your head, is that's what the scriptures teach. So I'm not coming up with something new. The Bible teaches that. So therefore, we wouldn't have that problem. So maybe we should, instead of trying to be all lovey-dovey for somebody who rapes a woman, maybe we should go ahead and put their heads to bed. And then we're finished with that. But still, what about the baby? The baby still doesn't need to be deleted. The baby still doesn't need to be deleted. I'm sorry. You're not gonna say, well, because your dad was a criminal and we had to put his head to bed, we're gonna kill the baby too. That makes perfect. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So that's where I stand. So the question was retarded from the word go. And I mean that. Like, it really was a dumb question. And I think this is one of those questions that a young guy would ask, because maybe I'm not trying to say he's trying to simp for the women in the audience or anything of that nature, but I think he just wants to be seen as being an ally to feminism. And at the end of the day, nobody wants to be like against the feminazis and all that kind of stuff like that. Tell them to kick rocks, man. Tell them to kick rocks. Okay, finish up, Jason.
question is irrelevant because it's only for 9 months to keep it applicable to the topic at hand, correct? Otherwise, it's a completely irrelevant moral question. Secondly, just to be clear, you're not kidnapped when you get pregnant. So I don't quite understand the analogy, right? Number three, yes, I mean, if in this, I always found this analogy outrageous. If you're asking me or my wife would answer, if I have to suffer for 9 months so that another being will assuredly get life, I will do that. That's how she would answer.
Yeah, so the question is whether the right of life is absolute.
It is.
Or whether some level of inconvenience can be taken into account, or rather burden.
This is a slippery slope. That's how we got to where we are now, where I could pull up the video of Krishan Rock, who drank hard liquor and smoked weed and as well as other drugs. And now her 3-year-old son can't talk, can't walk, can't stand up on his own, can't care for himself. And she's sitting there talking about God gonna heal him. But while she was pregnant, she was drinking, said, I can go get an abortion tomorrow. That's how we got here. It's this convenience argument or this inconvenience argument that this man is making. Let me know, have y'all seen that Krishan Rock video? It is crazy.
Taken into account and weighed against it. In this case, I'm asking, what if it was, for example, for her whole life? Because, well,
It's not irrelevant. I haven't
not.
thought deeply about it, honestly, but it's not relevant because pregnancy is at a 9-month window. So it's not relevant to my abortion view.
Well, the burden is also different of being attached to someone, a violinist. The burden is
So being a parent is a burden. In the chat, real quick, how many of you all put the number of children that you have and then whether or not they're a burden? Put the number of children you have in the chat and let us know, are they a burden? Absolutely not. Absolutely. The things I complain about my kids, and I'm pretty sure I speak on behalf of all parents that have a warm heartbeat. The things I complain about my kids, man, they melt away every time that phone rings. Every time the phone rings. Every time this one comes traipsing down the hallway. I don't care. I don't care. Like, y'all people, man, y'all, it's sad, man, that y'all gonna stand before God and God gonna show you debating this man about killing babies. And you gonna try to justify this before the God of the universe? Man, you better, man, there's no way in the world. Like, I feel sorry for this dude. Because you know he ain't married to nobody. You know he ain't. Got that shirt out the package right before he got up on stage. He got the fake cufflinks and everything. They're a delight. They're a joy. Somebody said 9 grandchildren. Ooh, goodness gracious. Let me tell you right now, quiver is full. That's what I'm talking about. Like, to say that the inconvenience, I'm going to back that up because that thing right there got me bothered. That thing got me bothered. That boy said that having a kid is an inconvenience. Yo, that's how you know you don't have a job. That's how you know. That's how you know you do not have a job. You sat there and said kids are an inconvenience to a man who has kids. That's crazy work. That's some grade A crazy work.
In this, I always found this analogy outrageous. If you're asking me or my wife would answer, if I have to suffer for 9 months so that another being will assuredly get life, I will do that. That's how she would answer.
Wow.
May I follow up? Yeah, so the question is whether the right of life is absolute.
It is.
Or whether some level of inconvenience can be taken into account, or rather burden can be taken into account and weighed against it. In this case, I'm asking, what if it was, for example, for her whole life? Because, well,
it's not irrelevant. I haven't thought deeply about it, honestly, but it's not relevant because pregnancy is at a 9-month window. So it's not relevant to my abortion view.
Well, the burden is also different of being attached to someone.
Jesus, I know you said thou shalt not murder, but see, it was like a burden though. It was a burden because I wanted to, go to the club, or I wanted to reach this goal in my business. It was kind of like, it was a burden. It was an inconvenience, God. It was a clump of cells. Man, I think people need to role play trying to explain this to God. Don't try to explain it to me. Don't try to explain it to Charlie or anybody else. Go stand in front of the mirror and try to explain this argument to God for abortion. That's what I think needs to start happening. Wow, make mirrors great again. Like, how in the world? Yo, this is crazy work. Oh my gosh.
Violinist, the burden is completely different to carrying a child of a rapist. So I do acknowledge that the burdens are different. Well, the question is whether there is a burden that could be weighed against the right to life. And if in this case, you just believe that
the only burden would be life for the mother.
So you would force your wife.
Okay,
you would be willing.
Hold on a second. No, I would be willing to do whatever is necessary to not have a human being eliminated. And I guess, is it a human being in the womb? Yes or no?
Okay, y'all. I've been watching Charlie Kirk's Q&As. He has now set this boy up for the 1-2 punch. It's almost over. Get the flag, get the towel, throw in the towel. He's about to knock this guy clean out. I can tell already what he's doing. He's about to go lights out.
Yes.
Then why don't you give the human being rights?
Well, that's what I'm trying to just.
No, ask the question. Why does that human not get rights and you do?
Well, my question.
No, answer the question. Why do you get rights and the baby doesn't?
I'm not saying it doesn't.
Yeah. Your right to life, eliminate it. That's the first and most fundamental right of the West. Why don't you get that right to the baby?
Well, I'm not saying I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm asking whether you would force your wife.
Well, no, hold on a second. Do you, very fundamentally, do you believe that every human being has a right to life, regardless how small you are or what level of development that you are on?
I do believe that every person does have a right to life. Yes.
You do not believe that?
I do.
Okay, then we agree. Abortion should be eliminated, not loved.
And you would force your mother, you would force your wife to stay with a violinist.
Again,
attached to a violinist for her
you are.
life.
Stop with the violinist argument. That's retarded. Stop with the violinist. Just talk about the baby. Stop it. We don't care about the violinist anymore. It was dumb when he said it. Charlie has already said it didn't make any sense. Like, leave it alone. Just stick with the argument. Don't do any hypotheticals. I like telling word stories and word pictures and stuff like that. Leave the parables to Jesus, my dude. Just come and bring the sentence.
You are gruesomely describing a universal truth that we will protect life no matter how small or level of development in the environment or the degree of dependency. And again, I will throw it back to you because it's very easy to use this analogy to make it seem like I'm unreasonable. But you're actually the unreasonable one here, saying that I will eliminate the human being just because, for what reason? There is no excuse for murder, period. We believe that in the West, correct? Now, you want to make the self-defense argument, we can go back there. I've heard every argument. They've heard that the baby's a parasite. I've heard the baby's an invader. I've heard the baby that is, currently taking the nutrients. None of them are morally applicable to the actual circumstance of gestation, period. Every human being has a right to life. You can check your notes again if you'd like, but every human being has a right to life. Yes or no? It's what built the West.
Well, it's what I'm asking.
No.
It's the only thing I wanted to ask.
Got it. You got your answer. No, I understand. What you are doing is a rhetorical trap. I've answered it completely, which is this. I stand for the abolition of abortion in all circumstances against life of the mother because life matters. Every human being, I believe, is made in the image of the divine, is sacred, is unique. And if we get away from this principle as we have, we not only have moral degradation, we not only have the collapsing society around us, but it's bad for that being itself. That being itself is unique. That being has rights. And who are we to say, just because we're older, that we get to murder it? Thank you.
I might have to clip that and add like some boxing sound effects because that boy right there got his head knocked clean off. Good gracious, man. Good night.
I likewise have an abortion-related question. So the Constitution refers to citizens and persons, but it does not explicitly define when life begins. In your view, who should define this question when we have a near split of liberals and conservatives in our country? Specifically, Alabama and Delaware have defined the start of life differently. Alabama treats the question as life beginning at conception. Since you can't kill a person, you're not permitted to get an abortion. Whereas Delaware defines the start of life at the time when the fetus is viable outside of the mother. Therefore, Delaware permits abortion up until viability at about 24 to 26 weeks. Since it's not in the Constitution, who should make a countrywide decision when liberals and conservatives have answered this question differently?
It's a good question.
Okay, I shout out to her. Shout out to her. This is always, and I agree with Charlie Kirk here. Life begins at conception. At the miracle of the egg and the zygote the egg and the sperm coming together, creating a zygote, that's life starts at that moment. That's it. That's it. It just needs time. That's all. So there we go. Now, let's see how Charlie goes from here.
Right now, the answer, the Supreme Court has said the localest jurisdiction possible. And then we'll work our way up from there. We aim to abolish abortion the same way we aim to abolish slavery in the 1860s.
Let's go.
And they are moral equivalents. In fact, one is arguably worse.
So the states should decide.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, right now, the local jurisdiction. You can get down to the county level. We have county hospitals that have issues on this. We have jurisdiction. So the most local, the better. That will de-radicalize the position and give us space to make the moral argument, which I continue to be on a quest to do so.
And you would therefore respect Delaware's position on this matter?
Well, I mean, yes, the states have sovereignty to do that for the time being. But of course, we are going to push for a national vote when we win the people's minds. We are my position on abortion is unpopular in my country.
Right.
I don't want to scare you guys too much. I am in the vast minority of my own political party on this issue. Proudly. Because I'm morally correct. I'm on the right side of history. When all the chips are down and when all the biology is settled, it will be very simple and very clear that we have made every excuse in the book to try to eliminate life smaller than us for simply inconveniences. So yes, right now we respect Delaware, we respect Michigan, respect all of that, but we have all intents to march every way through the institutions, from the cultural places of power and eventually political, to abolish abortion in America.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think that there was any disagreement. I think she was just asking a question. And that's fair. Some of these Q&As are not really like gotchas or anything of that nature. So, you know, shout out to her, though. I thought that was respectful.
Hey, Charlie. So I wanted to return to a comment you made earlier about the generation of lost boys. You likened them to the Peter Pan movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So when we're talking about Red Pill Media as being a large influence, and I wanted to define that. It's a reference to the Matrix, in which a lot of these media heads
I'm familiar with that.
talk about unplugging yourself, and it's about waking up to the realization.
I'm sorry. I know this sounds bad. He shouldn't have been able to come up there. I'm sorry. I think that's disrespectful to what I've learned about the Oxford debate. Like, that's just bad. He shouldn't have been able to come up there. You got to at least put on a shirt and some slacks, my guy. Like, there's no reason. What's the purpose of this? I mean, it looks like he has house shoes on, for crying out loud. Like, what are we doing? I think that's disrespectful to everybody who's coming here, you know, in the suits and tails. To me, like, that just sounds, I wouldn't take him seriously. I'm not taking him seriously now.
That you know, there is an active attack on masculinity, that men's rights need to be, you know, that men are being oppressed in a way, and that men's rights need to be advocated for. And, you know, many people have attributed the Red Pill Media to rise in like this almost generation of lost boys. I kind of wanted to get your opinion on kind of like, do you see this generation of lost boys as a failure of, like, say, masculinity, or are there potential other factors, economic, social factors, such as, you know, the death of the American dream, increasing costs of living in America, increased cost of education? Are there like any other reasons as to why this generation of lost boys might exist, or do you basically attribute it to
I acknowledge all of that, of course. I mean, one of them, it's a very good faith question, and thank you. In America, we made a stupid decision in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s to shut down our factories in the middle part of the country and basically disenfranchise and deindustrialize tens of millions of working class men and tell them to go move to the cities and learn to code. I said this in the previous Q&A, but I can again, which is that a family used to be able to be supported on a single income of 35 weeks of labor a year. Now it takes upwards of 60 weeks of labor a year. However, given all the economic and social and all those factors, the largest of all of them is the cultural and the educational that has infantilized men and hyper-feminized them in the messaging, in the outreach, and in the treatment. And so I can give you specific examples. You know,
in what way has the education system infantilized men?
I mean, every possible way, from the hypermedication of young men, from in the core curriculum in America, we learn about toxic masculinity from ages 8 in public schools in California and in New York. We never talk about toxic femininity. Do you agree that there's toxic femininity as well?
I mean, I think it's an unfair double standard.
Why? How can femininity not be toxic masculinity?
Okay, again, Charlie Kirk is a trap setter. I think he just likes toying with his prey. I don't know another way to say it. Charlie Kirk, he just put this dude in the trick bag, and he didn't even see him coming. He didn't even get out his pajamas yet. He is in the trick bag. He says, "Don't you believe in toxic femininity?" Well, of course, this guy is going to, if he answers that question, it's going to go left. We already know this. We already know it's going to go bad. Charlie was something else, man. Shout out to Charlie Kirk.
And social on all those factors, the largest of all of them is the cultural and the educational that has infantilized men and hyper-feminized them in the messaging, in the outreach, and in the treatment. And so I can give you specific examples. You know,
in what way has the education system infantilized men?
I mean, every possible way, from the hypermedication of young men, from in the core curriculum in America, we learn about toxic masculinity from ages 8 in public schools in California and in New York. We never talk about toxic femininity. Do you agree that there's toxic femininity as well?
I mean, I think it's an unfair double standard.
Why?
Well,
how can femininity not be toxic if masculinity can?
I'm not saying they can't be.
Do we teach kids about toxic femininity in our schools? No, tell me yes or no.
I mean, I think that they come from two very different places.
I didn't even see Charlie Kirk open up the trick bag. I didn't even see him pop open the trick bag, but he popped open the trick bag and he put our little pajama wearing dreadhead in the trick bag. And now he's trying to work his way out of it because guess what? You are now going to have to answer whether or not there's toxic femininity. And Charlie Kirk's not going to let you go. And man, he is on your bumper.
I think toxic masculinity comes from a level of misogyny, where I think toxic femininity often comes from a reaction to a misogynistic system, which fundamentally oppresses and systematically oppresses women. And I'm not saying that toxic femininity is a good thing, but I'm saying it's a much more understood and valid reaction to a system of oppression versus toxic masculinity, which oppresses.
Okay. So even if I grant you that, are they teaching toxic? Is that term ever been used in a school that you know of?
What term?
Toxic femininity?
No, it's not.
Oh, that's weird. So only one sex gets criticized and called toxic. Maybe that creates a backlash.
Well, because one is creating a system of
Oh,
oppression.
no, that's
the other
your
is a reaction to
interpretation.
it.
No, you can make every excuse under the book that you'd like, but only one chromosome set gets criticized, called that they're terrible and awful, and that women basically need to be like go into the corporate world with no reservation. And young men see this pattern in the West and in our country from the authors, from the curriculum, from the music, from the movies. And we see, and of course, again, in the educational system proper, we have seen the infantilization of the young male. And so again, we know the data, you did agree to it, that young men are checking out completely, but we're actually living under a hyper-feminist West that is toxic. What does that mean? Speech police, feelings first, emotion over reason, community over individualism. We're seeing this. And by the way, is it working? Is the West stronger as it's become more feminine in the last 30 years? No. In fact, our morale is weaker. We're more suicidal. Our fertility rates are down. We have lost the balance. We've lost the yin and the yang between the male and the female. We lost what worked, and we have hyper-platformed. Your own prime minister, Boris Johnson, when he was talking at a summit, said, we need to actually make things more feminine. Could you imagine if he said we need to make things more masculine? How does that sound to a dock worker in Brighton or someone in Essex? We need to make things more feminine? No. Instead, we need to restore the balance that God created man and women. And right now, and by the way, you want an example? Adolescence. How does that movie Adolescence not broadly generalize a theme that, first of all, doesn't exist? Secondly, is like a slow motion, like humiliation ritual for the young boys of Britain. Could you imagine if there was a similar movie criticizing young women that are like how they are the ones that are driving men away, about how catty they are, about how they don't want to be. No, it's fine. I'll just complete the point. I could give you data point after data point, and I would ask you the question: has the West grown stronger the more effeminate has become?
Okay. You've said a lot.
Yes, that's how a Q&A works. You ask the question and I answer. So I am the speaker. You know that's how it works. Yeah.
Okay, so on your point about adolescence, I don't think adolescence is a generalization. We're not saying that every young boy in the UK is like this. We're not saying every young boy goes through this process. It's an example of what can happen when people fall into this kind of media. I think it's like, and it's more of a story or a warning to what can happen to people that, you know, fall into these bubbles, who don't find the help that they necessarily need, that can turn violent. And like, this is a perfect example of toxic masculinity, in which the boy feels like he's not affirmed in his masculinity and takes that out on women. Like that, we've also then seen, like, within men, like the largest contributor to like men's deaths right now is male suicide. Like, but I would argue that is not a factor of feminization, but instead a factor of masculinity. The idea that men can't be in touch with their feelings. You talked about a feeling first approach being.
I would just ask him who raised these boys. I don't know what the UK's birth rate is, and, you know, single parent to dual parent household rate is, but in the United States, in the Black community, it's trash. So if he lived in the United States, he'd have the likelihood is that he'd be coming from a single parent home. And therein is the rub. So, yeah, I think there's definitely more there, but let's let them go.
Effeminate. So men are simply not allowed to engage with their feelings at all. Like men not allowed to talk about their feelings. These are large contributors
And I'm gonna tell you right now. This is not gonna go well. This might be a hot take, but guys don't do that. That's not what we do. We don't do it. And again, the constant drumbeat that men need to get in touch with their feelings and men need to talk about their feelings, we don't do that. We go do things. We go do things to deal with our feelings and our emotions. But when you try to make it like the only way that men can deal with their feelings and emotions is emoting, that's how you end up getting what you have here. Instead of teaching them to deal with their emotions internally, as most men do. Most guys are not doing what y'all talk about. All this, this therapeutic bibble babble, okay, whatever. There's some guys that do it, but most of us don't. We don't. And it's sad because you keep saying that there's one way. You're creating this scenario where there's one way for men to actually deal with feelings and thoughts and whatever of that nature. And because they don't do that, then they're now toxic, they're bad, they're red flags, they're ick or whatever of that nature. But really, truly, they're doing life. They're doing life. And because guys don't do things like women, and again, I think to Charlie's point, like the world expects men to act like bearded women. That's not what we are. I'm a man. My wife and my daughters are women, and they're going to do what women do. I'm not going to do that. That's just it. So shout out, man. This is a very interesting take. Let's finish this up. Let's go. Let's go.
Massive problem within men's spaces that lead to what is the highest contributor to men's death, suicide. And I think this idea that, men simply go back to work and if they're economically assured, then suddenly everything is fine. And, men's mental health was never an issue before like the 90s or whatever it was when we used to start affirming men's mental health, I think is an unfair, it's an unfair point to make. And I think it doesn't speak to a lot of issues that a lot of young men face. And I think it's a dishonest way to go about talking about this conversation.
Okay, so which part would you like me to respond to?
Let's go to the point about mass suicide and masculinity not being allowed to affirm.
So to your
emotions.
point, if it was true that men have always been miserable, why have the suicide rates gone up?
Well, because we've started recording suicides better. It's not to say that suicides didn't occur on this level. It's just we simply have better ways of recording.
That's rubbish, and body bags are data that transcends any sort of manipulation.
Charlie Kirk is a savage. He said, that's rubbish. Not only did he use their vernacular, but then he said, look, body bags are enough data. We got enough data points. We got the bags. We got toe tags to prove it. That's some crazy work. That is some wild work. I want to bring up this comment right here. Michael says this, well, the single parent homes, I wonder, are typically ran by mothers. So where are the fathers? That's a fantastic question. And I've said this before, ad nauseum. We need to make marriage great again. I think if everybody took it under their wings to help somebody who's single get married or help a brother who's got a baby mama to figure it out and y'all get married, we would see something change in this country like nobody's business. No, y'all work it out, but you got kids, then therefore y'all need to figure it out. We need to make marriage great again. That's the problem. We've made marriage optional. We've made marriage a suggestion. We've made marriage everything but a requirement for raising children. There's the problem. All right, let's finish this up. No, shout out.
A self-inflicted gun wound or being hung, it was not like a mass reporting issue 60 years ago in this country or in the West. It is a material fact because we know it's happening in the Anglosphere. It's happening in Australia. It's happening in America. It's happening all across Europe, that suicide rates of men are going up. Depression is going up.
Yes.
They are correlated together. It's not a reporting issue. There's something undergirding it. And in fact, just one other thing, your own prime minister endorsed adolescence. He sent out a tweet saying, I was shocked to the core when I watched this film and everyone should watch it. So that is an endorsement from the top leader, other than, the king of this country of endorse. I don't even know, may the king endorse that.
I mean, an endorsement is not a generalization.
Well, hold on. No. He said, I'm troubled to the core of what this could become. And you have to again, that is one example of thousands that I could give, one that is the most applicable to here to this country. And I guess I would just ask this question in closing. Do you think men would be happier if they are married and providing for a family?
I don't think marriage or the institution of marriage is the only way a man can be happy.
I think we both. Charlie's about to answer the question, and I just pulled up on the screen this right here. Single parent homes doesn't mean two parents aren't involved in a kid's life. I'm sorry. That's capitulating to the error. We need the husbands and wives together, period. That's it. Stop making excuses for other things. I'm not saying that there are not single parent homes out there. That's not what I'm saying. But we need to encourage two parent homes. You can't sit there and tell me that a single mom and a dad that comes on the weekend, that dad has the same influence on that child. It just doesn't happen. Stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. Make marriage great again. All right, let's see how Charlie figures this out. And if y'all disagree, put question in there. Maybe I'll just drop the link for you. I saw the other the person here, Michael, and the other one. If you want to, you can come on and we can talk about it. All right, let's finish this up though.
That's not what I said. I said generally happier. Do you think men will be generally happier if they're married, providing, and have children?
I don't think that's a necessary factor to contribute to men's happiness.
What is your solution to bring about male happiness in the West? Mine is men get married, have children, and provide. What is yours?
That's a big question.
Remember I told y'all yesterday, they don't know, they just want to tear down. They just want to destroy. They don't have a plan for what to build after the fact. They just want to tear down. We, on the contrary, are building. We are building and swatting away gnats and flies as we do so. This is a gnats and fly type of situation.
I think an affirmation of their emotions, their emotional states.
I
think an openness to allowing men to express themselves in whichever way they want, even if that is in a more effeminate way or a Western, typically effeminate way. I don't think it's about ostracization. I don't think it's about promoting one simple institution of living and disregarding all of those else. Men are free to live single, men are free to be in gay relationships. I don't think that the institution of marriage privileges one to a life of happiness over any other way of living.
So of course you have the agency to do that. With all due respect, have you been to London the last 10 years? Men can do whatever they want.
I live in London.
Are they happier? Men can dress how they want. Men can act how they want and go to any club. Has it worked?
Yeah, but also we've had austerity. There are other factors outside of simply just.
You see what you're doing, respectfully. You're scrambling for an excuse to get away from the truth that's right in front of you. I mean, maybe men should get married and have children.
Okay, but I think
because it's worked for 2,000 years.
I just think it's a very dishonest way to go about this argument.
How's it dishonest?
One issue.
Interesting. Can I challenge you on that though?
Sure.
Why is it that the men of much poorer African and Asian countries don't have suicide issues, yet they have no money?
How do we know that?
Oh, we know, again, by empirical third-party reported data from the UN, from the US State Department. There is not a suicide crisis in sub-Saharan Africa. There's not a suicide crisis in Southeast Asia with young men. So explain to me that phenomenon. They're materially wealthy, they're not materially wealthy, and yet they're harming themselves. So why would you then say it's austerity?
Wait, sorry, say that again.
Okay, you're looking for another explanation for male unhappiness.
Yes.
I'm pointing to you to a part of the world that actually does value marriage and does have children, but they have no money.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, how could you say it is a material problem why the men of London, who can dress how they want, go to whatever bar they want, are not happy?
Because it's more than one reason. Like there are multiple factors. It's not even just economic. There's economic, there's social, there's like religious pressures. There's so many, you cannot boil down a societal issue to one.
And I acknowledge that, right? I even at the beginning, remember, I'm saying the biggest, the one that has an exponent on it, is that we have a biological urge that God gave us when he designed us, which is to be fruitful and multiply, for men to provide for the family. And when we suppress that, and we say that you can go live whatever lifestyle you would like, as already happens in the West. We have Exhibit A. We have a serious suicide, mental health, anxiety, depression issue. So I would just ask you to think over the next couple of days, months, or years, why is it that men in countries that barely have toilets and do not have 2 pounds to rub together, but they do have kids and they do have a wife, are much happier than someone with a big flat in downtown London? Something to think about.
I mean, I think happiness is a difficult idea to conflate in that sense. I mean,
But
there
I'm
are
talking
other
about suicide.
duties.
They're less likely to kill themselves. Forget all these happiness indexes. If you kill yourself, you're not happy, right? So these poor countries do not have male suicide problems. Why?
I do not know.
Think about it. Thank you very much.
You've spoken a little bit about your belief in the sanctity of life and the inviolable dignity of the human person. I take it that you accept evolution.
It depends what you mean by that.
Do you think we've evolved from primates?
I don't know.
Okay.
But I do believe in the biblical account of creation. I also acknowledge that there is an abundance of scientific research that shows adaptation. Species change is heavily inferred in the data. I don't know enough about it, but I believe the scriptures to be true. And you can be a theist and also believe in God-ushered evolution.
Yeah, I completely
And so,
agree.
of which I allow people much smarter than me to make determinations on that. It's completely irrelevant to my core theology, though.
Okay. Are you happy for me to proceed with the question,
Please,
though, on that
yeah.
basis?
Sorry,
So
yeah, I didn't mean to
you're
interrupt
kind
you,
of-
but yeah.
No, that's fine. So you're kind of vaguely, not vaguely, but you seem generally happy with the idea that maybe evolution is true. I hope that that's the case. I mean,
Well, I don't believe that. I think that
Okay.
I'm not saying you said happy to that evolution is true.
I'm not necessarily happy, but
Well, that was the word you
surely-
used, though, right?
Okay, fine. Willing to accept that based on the evidence, evolution is a fact.
No, I'm not saying
You
it's a
don't-
fact.
fine.
I'm actually, again, I say I'm open to have my mind moved
Mhm.
and I look at the data, but I believe, given the abundance of equal data that atheists must reckon with,
Mhm.
that there is a fine-tuning problem to our existence that I believe warrants that there is a God, intelligent life came from a God, and I believe the scriptures to be true. That in the creation account, there is an allowance to say that God created the heavens and the earth and allowed us to either evolve through species.
Mhm.
I happen to believe, through a faith claim, that human beings are designed.
Mm.
What that means is designed over a long period of time or designed immediately. That's for people smarter than me to determine.
Fine. I suppose what I'm getting at is if you believe in the sanctity of life and that there is something fundamentally different between the life of, say, for instance, a human being and the life of an animal, does that not make that claim slightly arbitrary? What is personhood based in, if not?
Oh, yeah. So
do you see what I'm getting at?
Sort of. The scriptures say, though, that God created humans, male and female distinct. They're the only ones in Genesis 1:26, 1:27 to made in the image of God.
Right,
and
exactly.
so he called animals good, but they are not image bearers.
Okay, but
But
just
that word create
Mhm.
is barach in Hebrew, and it's not clear whether or not that is created in an instant over a long period of time. And we as believers, I find no contradiction into saying that God could have created an instant, of which I would be pleased. I'll ask God when I get to heaven how this all unfolded. Or was it a process of adaptation and species change? Very smart Christians are on both sides of this issue. And so there's what we call in Christianity closed hand theological issues and open hand theological issues. Closed hand issues would be like the resurrection of Christ, the Trinity. And then there's open handed, which would be like eschatology or the Eucharist or the creation account. This one allows, given the verbiage, it could be either way.
Mhm. Fine. I think just
Sorry about that. I don't even know what she wants. Like, I'm not clear. What is it that you want, ma'am? It's almost like she's trying to say that a baby is the same as a animal, or that a baby. I don't know what this evolution and sanctity of life argument. They don't seem to be on the same street even. Humans evolved in the sense that we adapted an environment over. That I agree with. I have no argument with that. I think most people agree with that. But what is the position she's trying to tie him down to? To evolution? It just seems weird. Okay, let's let her finish up. We're almost finished, by the way.
I don't want to take up too much time then,
That's
but
fine.
just kind of on that, you're talking a little bit about Christian values, and I'm intrigued by that. I get the sense that you're very much motivated by your faith. To what extent do you think Donald Trump embodies gospel values?
What?
Yeah, so
Wow. How did 47 get into the chat? Wow. I'm sorry, she just wanted to talk. She just really wanted to talk. Wow. I'm sorry. That had nothing to do. I'm guessing she's a vegetarian. That had nothing to do with anything. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's go.
He reminds me very much of Samson in the Bible. Both had, you can laugh. How many of you guys actually know about Samson? Great hair. He was a man willing to fight for a cause greater than he, despite some of his own moral troublings and moral missteps. All throughout the Bible, from King David to others, there are plenty of Abraham. Moses murdered somebody. How many people know that? Moses murdered somebody. How dare you? You could say a lot. Donald Trump has never murdered anybody. But Moses is like the most revered man in Judaism. You know, he was a murderer in Egypt. He took someone aside and just slammed him in the head and actually had to flee all the way to Midian because of it. We're all flawed. We all have original sin. How do I reconcile what he's doing with gospel values?
Well, for instance, I mean, the gospel values to me would be, humility, compassion, forgiveness. Does he live according to those values, do you think?
Okay, okay, I'm gonna stop real quick. I don't like when people make something salvific that is not a salvific issue. She said the gospel values. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what that is. So therein is the problem right there. She's already gonna go off into a strange and foreign land. And again, and every now and then I do have to push back on Charlie Kirk. I don't think we need to bring up all the flawed people of the scriptures. I don't think we need to. I think we need to bring up, and I would have explained to this young lady that she's a sinner, that she needs a savior. So whatever David and Tamar and Abraham and Peter and John and James did is not the discussional topic. Man, what about yourself? What are you going to do with your own sin debt when you stand before our King? How will you have that sin paid for? That's the question that we need to answer. So Trump's behavior, whatever, man, who cares? I really, truly, I didn't hire him for that. I didn't vote for his biblical worldview. And y'all don't tell me that y'all do, because y'all can't tell me, Democrats, that you vote for somebody based upon their biblical worldview. Because I'm telling you, Trump got you stripped and lapped on that one. So let it go. Like, whether or not you rock with the person, that's the argument. Let's have that argument. Okay, let's finish this up. Okay, let's go. It's
At times, I will say, he's far more magnanimous than people will give him credit. None of us are able to fill all those values. I will say some values that I think he does fulfill. He is a truth teller. And the gospel says very clearly that telling of the truth is one of the most fundamental things, the spoken word.
That's not a gospel thing. See, that's what I'm saying. Don't tie the gospel. Don't tie the gospel with these other things. The gospel is Christ died for sinners. That's the gospel, the good news. Now, there are other aspects that float around the solar system, of, if you will, but they're not gospel issues. And I'm not saying that we did. Oh, well, are you trying to say that we just lie? Come on now, be an adult. Be an adult. No, I'm not saying that. What I am saying, however, is that those things stem from the gospel. The reason I tell the truth is because I've been saved. The reason, big screen, the reason I remain faithful to my wife is because Christ saved me. The reason I pay my taxes, the reason I try not to speed, the reason I walk little old ladies across the street is because Christ saved me. These things are outcroppings of the gospel, not the gospel. They might, if you want to say they're in the solar system of the gospel, I got you. Are they the outcropping, the fruit of the gospel? I can give you that. I'll give you that. Absolutely. The good works that Christ saved me to do, I'll give you that. Absolutely. But they're not the gospel. So if I don't walk a little old lady across the street, that doesn't mean I'm not saved. If I don't speak out and riot for Black Lives Matters and abolish ICE, guess what? I'm still a Christian. You're just retarded. So that's the thing we got to push back on. So anyway, all right, let me finish this up. I don't know where this girl is going. I really don't.
So I'm not going to spend time here defining every moral decision that Donald Trump has made or not made. I am equally a sinner as Donald Trump. We all are. We all fall short of the glory of God.
Come on.
But I will say that his willingness to rise to the occasion of something greater than he, to endure being shot and almost shot again and almost 700 years in federal prison, is one of the most courageous actions I've ever seen from a public elected official in the history of the West.
Do you think Jesus would have voted for Trump?
Do I think Jesus? Well, first of all, Jesus intentionally didn't vote and did not care about the Roman guard. You remember he said, pay unto Caesar what is Caesar, render unto God's what is God. Do I think Jesus would love some of the stuff that Trump is doing?
It's a silly question, but I'm just,
But I'm glad that you know it's a silly question. I'm glad you know it's a silly question, but guess what? Jesus did vote for Trump. Jesus put Trump in place. Jesus put Biden in place. Jesus didn't put Hillary. He didn't put Kamala. Jesus put them in place. So technically, the one vote that matters did happen. Jesus voted for Trump. I know that's going to make you, I know that makes it gets you all up in a tighty whities in a bunch. Let them go. Let them go. Christ still rules over the affairs of men. Trump is God's Trump. That's it. Let it go. It's okay. This is just a silly brain dead argument. Like, he put him in place. Well, you know what? I would ask her, who is Jesus? That's probably the better question. Would Jesus vote for Trump? Who's Jesus? Because if he's God, then he voted for Trump. If he's just a man, then you got to deal with that one. Why do I care what a man does? Okay, let's go.
No, I mean, fine. It's like, what did Jesus teach us? Jesus says, don't touch children. Okay, so he would love the fact that Donald Trump repealed Roe versus Wade. He would love the fact that child sex trafficking is being focused on in this current government. Jesus Christ said a lot of things such as, sin no more, and things such as love your neighbor are things that we should embody in every single one of our public policy decisions. So Jesus is divine, and he would not fill out a ballot.
All right, thank you for answering my question.
I don't know. But he did fill out a ballot. He's the only one that voted.
I wanted to take it back on South Africa. You did talk about South Africa, and obviously the Expropriation Act of 2024 is kind of a really big issue. I think to start off from the outset, I should mention that I also don't agree about the more terrible slogans, cue the boards. Obviously, I think is terrible. But I think it's good to have context where the Expropriation Act is coming from. And I think drilling down a little bit, I want to pick your thoughts based on the fact that white South Africans only account for about 10% of the population, and they own about 72% of private land in South Africa. And I think it's always really good also to pretty much draw back a little bit from the historic background behind it. I think it goes back to about 1913, the Native Acts land, which severely, disproportionately discriminate against Black South Africans from owning land in South Africa. And that's what's caused much of the disparity we see economically. So I wanted to find out from you, what are your thoughts? And obviously, Trump administration has really been big on what's going on in South Africa at the minute and the act itself that they enacted. So do you think it's a moral obligation that obviously you're talking about that the land that was expropriated back in the days historically, and that was a colonial endeavor altogether, does that land need to be returned to Black South Africans?
No, but they already. So I know dangerously little about this, and so again, what I said on stage is what I know. So I'm going to have to understand. I'm an American. I'm just trying to educate myself on UK politics, and so you will probably know more about this than I will. But is it not true? And you can correct me. In the last 20 years, they've tried some form of reparations with Black South Africans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that correct? Maybe I'm wrong.
Yes, there's been, but it's not worked. So the BBE,
that's right.
for instance,
So time out. So wait. So taking stuff from one group and giving it to Blacks doesn't work?
Well, it does work, but I'll give you context as well.
You just said it doesn't work.
I'll give you context.
Contradicted yourself, so educate me. I don't know enough, but you just contradicted yourself. You went from it doesn't work to it does work, so please.
I'll give you context as well. So what they did is they did have a program called the Black Empowerment Economic Program. And pretty much what they did is for every corporation, they would have to incorporate Black people within it. But that's not worked really well. And what we've seen over time is that a lot of Black people that have been part of those organizations have only been a minority. So pretty much, as you mentioned, talked about DEI. So it's just pretty much checking a box, right? You have a Black person within the senior management group, but it's only probably 2 people and the like, and that's pretty much it. But the majority of Black South Africans that do not own any land, because obviously the historic context that I gave, cannot pretty much be able to earn a good living, because, I mean, with land also comes economic opportunity, and that's been the biggest disparity in South Africa.
And excuse my ignorance on this. From what I understand, though, is that the land owned by Black South Africans is actually not as productive as those owned by the Boers. Is that correct?
Well, at the minute, 72% of private land, agricultural land, is owned by white South Africa.
No, I
so
understand
only
that,
a minority.
Fair enough, but the 28%, when compared to Boer-run farms, are actually not as productive, because running a farm in South Africa is very difficult.
Yes.
Am I correct by saying that?
Well, context again.
Well, I just want to make sure I'm clear that actually running a farm for over 100 years is actually really impressive.
100%.
Yeah, so we agree on
Yes, we agree on that.
So thank you, because I don't know enough about this, but I do think that that's important to note, that even the Black South Africans that own land, it actually is not as fruitful or has the same yields as those that have been doing it for over 100 years, in a time when there's actually food instability in the region and in South Africa.
But obviously, what I'll say is, I mean, over time, if, say, you did have an act that expropriates land from Black South Africans, you need to build capacity over time. And I think the government is doing that for the minority Black people that own agricultural farmland in South Africa, and they've been doing that. But also, we can't deny the fact that if you control supply chains for over a century, right, then it means that you pretty much control the economy, right? So how best do you think, obviously the land was taken from Black people and South Africans, while South Africa has been pretty much, improving the economic outcomes over time, what do you think is the best way to break even in that sense?
Fair question.
And I just want to make one point to you. If obviously you look at key philosophers as well, like Robert Nozick, for instance, he talks about equality in terms of acquisition, as well as the process through which you acquire that land, and obviously correcting the injustice that comes out of it. So what would be your thoughts on that?
I'm not familiar with the philosopher you mentioned. Who was that again?
I don't like this
Robert Nozick.
Okay.
He's a very prominent philosopher.
I'll look into it. Sure. Thank you for that. I don't know enough about South Africa to suggest anything. Here's what I could tell you, that race-based politics is really bad. I know this because I'm living it in my country. And I think that South Africa should get away from race obsession and should get towards something that is rooted in merit and empowerment. South Africa is what, 75% Black? Is that correct? 80%? Maybe?
Yeah,
more?
that's right.
Right. And so explain to me, like post-apartheid, outside of the land ownership, maybe there's a business element. Why is it that once apartheid was removed, why Black South Africans were not able to see their material economic net worth go up in the last 20 or 30 years? What do you think there's any, and maybe I don't know enough, are there any cultural inhibitions of a defeatist attitude that has basically, let's say, infected the minds of poor South Africans last 20 years that feel as if they can't accumulate wealth? Do you think that plays a factor?
Yeah, I think what's really infected Black South Africans is pretty much going back to what we're talking about. Obviously, from the colonial background that I just gave you, and we see a lot of like neo-colonialism, you control the supply chains and you own 72% of, agricultural farmland. How do you expect the majority Black people to improve their lives and their outcomes when you pretty much control everything?
Enough. And so this is a sloppy but best example I can give. Is that fair? I'll do it. So just grant me some mercy here. What percentage of American land is owned by Asians?
Not sure.
Yeah, less than 3%. They are the richest racial group in America. So maybe land ownership isn't the only thing that matters to get wealthy.
Well, I do recognize that a lot of components and
hold on a second. Why
forget
the supply chain, forget the land. Land is basically all owned by white people in America, okay? Yet Asians, Indians are by far the richest group. So why is it that this particular group that happens to own the land and the supply chains, and we've admitted it's very hard to run this land, very hard to run this idea of farming in South Africa, it feels to me, I could be wrong, that it's a group of resentment-driven politics towards a group of people that own land instead of opportunity and empowerment-based politics, talking to the Black majority about how they could build a better life for themselves instead of taking away other people's stuff.
Well, maybe the question could be as well, why do you think white South Africans that pretty much acquired that land through unjust means are so apprehensive and they don't really want to break even or probably give up much of the land that was stolen?
Hold on, that's a mindset issue. There's plenty in America that gets labeled as quote unquote stolen. Plenty.
Lots of it. Yes.
However, it doesn't necessarily always hold back every ethnic group that is in the country, that is even in the minority of the country. And so I guess the question is, it's a mindset. I don't know South African law enough. I don't know if it's a free market based. I really don't. I'm not just playing cute. But as a general operating principle, it's very bad to build a political movement around taking other people's stuff because of obsessed with what you don't have instead of the mental energy to create what you want and what you think you deserve.
Absolutely.
We've seen this with a lot of groups to America. And America is a very interesting petri dish because we have a lot of people that come to our country with nothing. We have Cubans, we have Venezuelans, we have Colombians, we have Persians. And a rule is the group that complains the least and focuses all of their combined cultural energy on creation does really well over multiple years. That might not be possible in South Africa. There might be like no process to create wealth, but I would just venture a guess that market principles transcend borders. So my postulation, and I'm glad you admitted it, don't say kill the Boers, bad, we should say that. It has created real deaths and real harm. If I was in charge, which of course I'm not, I would spend all my time not saying kill the Boer. I would say, my people, get your act together. Let's work harder. Let's prove the Boer wrong. Let's start a business. Let's build families. One is driven in resentment and greed and envy and confiscation, and one is rooted in creation and entrepreneurship and optimism. I'd like to see the latter.
Well, it's very interesting you call it confiscation. What about if we call it probably reclaiming the land that was stolen back in the day?
Yeah,
but here's the thing as well.
It's the same thing, though. You're still there.
Please, okay.
Maybe it's what kind of understanding the value of land, right? Much of what happens with land is obviously, and I think a very prominent economist talks about this, a guy called Hernando de Soto in his book, The Mystery of Capital.
I know Hernando.
Yeah, he talks about it really. When it comes to land, the value of land is that obviously you can borrow against it. And we've seen for much of agriculture, commercial land, which is very expensive, really.
Legit.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? So if you own land pretty much everywhere, you can extract a little value out of it.
So can I interject really quick? Let's try another moral principle. Is it ever right to punish a grandchild for their grandfather's sins?
Not necessarily, but
well, hold on. Your
context. Well, context is very important.
They did not steal the land. Someone related to them stole the land. So why punish them? They look like them. They talk like them. They were related to them. But you are talking about actively punishing a human being that did not do the atrocity.
I'm not saying we should actively punish them, right?
Okay.
That's some Ezekiel 18, y'all, boys and girls. This is Ezekiel 18.
Okay, but you're saying, I just want to make sure I'm clear. You went back to these three principles: making wrong the justice, redistributing.
Yes. So correcting the injustice, I think.
So with correcting the justice, let's say theoretically it would be that we want some of this land to go back to Black South Africans. That's confiscation, right? No, you no longer own it. This group's going to own it. Therefore, you are punishing a grandkid for the sin of a grandfather. How is that morally defensible?
I think it gets back to the same thing. And how is it morally defensible if, say, the land that you own at the moment was stolen land, and it has over time created a massive disparity economically for much of the majority of Black people out there. So they could make the same argument as well.
Fair enough. And we would say, but the code that we believe in the West, and South Africa can choose, that inheritance, something that you did not work for, and all of a sudden that you have, and that you are then nurturing, we're not going to take that away from you if you did not do anything individually wrong, because this is the difference. We believe in individual-based, not collectivist group-based politics. So they're saying this group took this from this group, therefore this group must get something else. We're asking, did that individual do anything wrong? That individual is a different person than the grandfather. So what is the solution? The solution is for Black South Africans to understand the injustice, and I'll grant you all that I know nothing about the 1913. I should learn about it, and thank you for bringing that to my attention, right? But I do know that there was a lot of immoral behavior to the let's say the gaining of the land, right?
That's right.
I acknowledge that. Fine. The question is then what to do. And a general rule that has worked in America, and I'll kind of repeat my point, is the group, whomever it is, if they have a mentality and a mantra that is about creation and not about resentment, will succeed. This is actually really bad for even the people. Even if they got all the land back, let me tell you, it would not necessarily be a good thing. Number one, we've already shown that they can't necessarily manage it. It's very hard. The Boers have developed a method of farming in the last 100 years.
How do you justify that?
Well, because I just told you, and you agreed with me. I asked a question, which I think I knew, and you affirmed it. The Black South African farmers are not nearly as productive as the equivalent Boer farmers. They're not. The same land, same fertile soil, the farms equivalent are not as necessarily productive. But again, just as a general rule, and we can have clarity but not agreement, I think it's a bad idea to nationalize complaints into a political movement. I think it's very dangerous. And then the right, we fall into this sometimes too. In South Africa, it's even more dangerous to weaponize racial complaints, despite the injustices of past. It's a better use of time to talk about a victor mindset, not a victim mindset.
Yeah, I think it's easily said than done. That would be my kind of thinking.
But it's simply a mindset. Yeah, but the groups that embrace it in America and across the West, they succeed. The Jews have had a lot of crap thrown at them the last 100 years. They get their act together, they organize, they understand how to, create wealth. And again, I would say there are many groups that are parallel to that. So you want to make a final point? I don't know how we are in time, but
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
yeah, again, we have clarity. I would like to see, of course, an end of the kill the Boers, but my hope for South Africa is one that is rooted in empowerment and lifting up and optimism, not being like, well, something bad happened to my grandfather, therefore it impacts me. It actually doesn't impact you as much as you think. You're a free being with your own agency and your own ability. Was it wrong? Yes. Is it inhibiting? I would say no.
Yeah, I would say that I think cooperation is probably the pathway going forward. And I think breaking even is a good thing because the Expropriation Act actually does pretty much cut for that, where much of land that's not being used can then be shared. And
I will look into it.
I think that'll be a better way to go.
I'll read more about it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, good job. All right, that was interesting. The Oxford Union Society debate. I don't know if it's called. I don't know what that's what it's called. The Oxford Union Society debate series, I think, is probably the proper term. Are you hopping on, Mike? How convenient it is for a group to disregard it now. Feel free to hop on, man. I'll drop the link for you, man. And let me know. Because otherwise you're just saying things and they're just things that you're saying. Feel free, man. But no, I thought that was good. I really do appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. I want to say thank you so much to SC Dog up in here with the 5 says, I couldn't have children, although I always wanted to be a mom. I was the foster mom, single parent, to 11 children from the ages of newborn to 15. Shout out. My goodness. That's some serious work right there. God bless you for doing that. SC Dog for sure. All right. There's a couple of commentaries up in here. Single parent homes doesn't mean two parents aren't involved in a kid's life. We've already talked about that. So we know that that is wrong. Shout out to Michael's wrong here as well. It's not an error. Marriage is optional. It's the reason why marriage rates are at an all-time low. Yeah, that's the problem. And that's why crime rates in inner cities are at an all-time high. Absolutely. So yeah, Mike's wrong there again. Row One Up says this: most people agree, but society just isn't in a place for marriage these days. The way society changes is about us changing. When we change our position, that's how society changes. Continue. This isn't the world you got married in. I just got married in 2002, but let's keep going. Even Charlie had to find someone who was applying for a job to make his wife. Okay, I guess. I don't know what that even Charlie was like. But Charlie wanted to be married. Why? I don't understand. Like we'll make excuses for whatever, and then we'll keep seeing the same result. So I guess I guess you will just keep making excuses for it. I'm not gonna make excuses for it. I'm trying to make marriage great again. I want to see marriages great again. I believe the president of the student debate at Oxford, who debated Charlie months before his death, actually was forced to step down. Yes, because he mocked. I think that was him. Actually, I think that was him. Who, me? I hope you're not. Are you saying that about me? Yeah, I don't. Again, like the world is going to keep worlding. I mean, that's what happens. But we don't say, well, because the world isn't favorable, and I don't even know what favorable for marriage is. It's a man and a woman against the world. As long as the man and woman decide we're gonna keep rocking together, what are we talking about? I mean, but hear me out. If you want to make excuses, rock on like Donkey Kong. Do your thing, my guy. A lot of good commentary in there. Charlie found a wife, even though Erica didn't find a job. Shout out. Well played. Well played. I see what you did there. I like that. Absolutely. Yeah, this was good, though. I appreciate y'all. All right. I think we hit everything. We hit all of our everything we was going to hit today, Jason. I love it. All right. Let me get some questions answered. Any other questions up in here? Shout them out. Drop them in here. Shout out to, again, Altoid, Dr. Altoids being the stream sponsor. Thank you so much for that, brother. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Let me look and see what the Atlanta traffic looks like. at the airport. All right, let's see. ATL Scoop. I can look at some of the other ones, but I like ATL Scoop. I think they do a good job. Let's see this one real quick. It's looking like, yeah, it looks like the traffic has been released. But yeah, I don't see anything here. No new updates on the Atlanta airport traffic. So I think it's fair to say it's been taken care of. Now there's pollen though. Okay, only people in Georgia will get this joke though. Let me put this up here on the screen. If you live here in Georgia, you will get this joke. Pull it up. All right. And it says weather forecast, and that's it. Weather forecast. If you get it, you get it. I did get your DM. I think I posted it earlier. Amethyst, I believe I posted it earlier. Love Bug. We looked at the newscast. I didn't look at Benny's, if that's what you're talking about. I didn't look at Benny's, but I did look at the brother that posted that, saying that people just want to find a reason to complain. But yeah, this is our weather forecast here in Georgia. What we got here? Maybe it's the standards that individuals have for a mate that makes marriage difficult to approach and commit to. Also, not knowing yourself before marrying another person. I mean, we can do that. We can do that. And I'm not saying that you're doing it by yourself, but I do think that if we as a community make marriage a priority, we will see a change for our society. I think I'm just going to go on a limb here. 6485, you look like a black man. I think it's fair to say, without making a lot of generalizations, that the black community would be greatly blessed by husbands and wives getting together, committing to marriage, and having children. If the fact that 80% of our kids are born in a single parent home right now, if we flipped that on his head and it was down to 20, I think we would see a significant improvement in our communities. That's it. Just make marriages great. That's all we got to do. And again, if you're in the chat and you are a married person, and if you've been married for 4 seconds and 18 nanoseconds, you know that it is work. You know that you're going to be working. So it's not going to be sunshine and rainbows. I know you'll watch those rom-coms of the 80s and 90s, but no, you're actually going to work at this thing. But it's worth working at. I hear that girl in the kitchen doing something in there. It's worth working with her. It's worth it. Like, I don't know what we're doing. It's not going to be all easy. And I'm learning myself. I'm learning as we're building the plane as we're flying it. Like, I don't know what else. What's better? What's the better option? That big girl, that's exactly what it looked like outside. That's exactly what it looks like outside. It was literally snowing. I have a cherry blossom tree in my front yard. And literally when the leaves blow, when the wind blows, the little petals fly across the yard. It looks like snow. And you see all of this pollen. It's so much pollen. And it's not going to rain for at least another week. So that pollen is going to be like, we're going to be like Don Corleone, like big old piles of it out here, man. It's going to be crazy. Now, my allergies, generally speaking, don't go crazy until the end of the season, but it's so bad that my allergies are bothering me right now. So I know it's going to be a mess this year. I'm a different person before I got married. I'm a better person because I got married. Shout out. Oh, see, that's the problem. Individual standards aren't God's standards. There we go. No argument for me. Oh, ouch. Heather Rose. Marriage wasn't created to make you happy. It was created to make you holy. Good night, Heather Rose. Oh, man, you got to warn us before you give us that uppercut. Give us a little warning or something. Good night. That's right on the button right there. I love it. This is a very interesting take. And listen to Kelly, y'all. Kelly says, I was a single mom until my firstborn son was 7. So he's like second grader. Okay. My husband and I had a son together. We're still married. I notice a difference between them, even though I raised them the same as their mom. That's amazing. Shout out. Shout out. Thank you so much for that. Marriage is work. That's enough. It's work. I'm sorry. Marriage is work. It's double work, right? But being single brings different struggles. People can excuse their way out of everything. Oh man, we done brought redlining into the chat. Oh my gosh. We got redlining in the chat. Oh my word. Good night. All right. Redlining done entered the chat. My God, in the morning. I think there's a book of excuses, and redline is like chapter 1. Good night, man. Let it go, my dude. Wait, what you say? That's not pollen. That's not pollen. That's God seasoning us. Better to turn the oven. Oh, okay. Before he turns the oven of the summer on. That's a good catch. I like that. I like how you said that. But that's some scary weather outside. It's scary outside. I just wish it would rain. Yeah, I'm singing, I wish it would rain. That's how bad it is. It's crazy work out there. The vertical stream is acting up. What's going on in the vertical stream? Do we need to fix the vertical stream? Let me fix the vertical stream real quick. We gotta stay right and tight, y'all. We can't be stressing out my team over on the vertical stream, y'all. You gotta keep that right and tight. Oh, so badly, I wanna go outside. Now I'm singing that song, I Wish It Would Rain. Oh my word, book of excuses when you have housing discrimination that exists, redlining happened and still has signs of it in today's age. Oh my word. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for letting us know about that. Thank you. Good gracious, man. Oh, where the wild comments are. I just made it members only though. I don't even make it members only. I'm sorry though. I'd love for you to come on, man, and talk to me about it. I want to hear more about this insight and wisdom that you're dropping about redlining. Oh my word, redlining. How did the Black community make it in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s up to the 50s with intact families? That's a beautiful question. Not to mention the businesses. I don't know, man. They didn't have the book of excuses, chapter 1. They didn't have book of excuses. They didn't know. Yeah, I mean, Michael, I'm Black, mate. Systematic racism does not exist. I mean, I want Michael to come on, brother. I mean, like, why don't we talk about it? I want to hear. I just want to hear. I think it'd be interesting to hear, man. Just let me know, and I'll drop the link for you. You gotta have your camera on. You cannot use any profanity, and you got to stay on topic. But I want to hear. I'd love for you to come on, man. Just let me know, brother. And if by some reason or another is like a better time, just email management, man. We can have you come on tomorrow. I'll be on here again tomorrow. Lord willing, the creek don't rise. Well, I don't know. We might need the creek to rise, but this pollen don't rise. I'll plan to be here. So I would love for you to come on, man. Shoot me an email. Hit me up on the email. I'll get you all the details. The vertical stream appeals to the TikTok community. Do the math. Oh yeah, for sure. No question about that. Yeah, email me for a better time. I'd love to have you come on. Now I see you. You can come on tonight, right now, bro. We just chopping it up. I just thought it would be a good conversation. I want to look at Charlie's debates. I've been looking at some unpacking how he does his debates, and I thought they were very helpful. So I wanted to actually see him in another area, in another environment, to kind of see if I'm seeing the trend before I start talking about the trends that I see in how Charlie does his debates. So I thought that was super cool. And yeah, it was dope. And wanted to tap in with y'all. I think I hit all of the things I had on my list to talk about up in here. My daughter and I were talking on the way to school this morning about how lazy. It's funny, man. It's funny. My daughter actually agrees with me now. You know, if you have a rising 16-year-old that actually agrees with their dad, come on, you know that's a work of the Holy Spirit. So for her to say, you know, Dad, I agree that Disney is being lazy because they're making what is the movie? Wait, hold on, what is it called? Moana. They're making a Moana live action movie. And I guess the original Moana, the cartoon, had just come out like 8 years ago, 9 years ago, or something like that. And she's like, why are they doing that? And we were having a good conversation. And I just thought it was very funny how she really does appreciate and starting to hear, like, okay, my dad's not crazy, that Disney is lazy. Disney is lazy. They don't care. They're going to keep trying to reimagine old IPs because they know that it has a built-in fan base rather than introduce a new IP that could actually bring in some people. Yeah, I don't think it's even 10 years old yet. I don't know. I don't know how old it is, but what was the other one? The Lion King, not the Lion King. Lion King's old. Come on, the other one. There's another one that they just did a live action on. And again, like, why do they do that? And so I was talking to my daughter. I said, why don't they just stop making princess movies, stop making rehash movies, and just go to the continent of Africa? There are enough creative new stories that have never been told, that have never seen the big screen, never got the Hollywood treatment there. Why don't they just go there and introduce brand new characters and new ideas right there? You don't need to redo Star Trek, Star Wars, any of the little princesses or any of that stuff. Stop doing that. Just stop and do something new. And she's like, you know what, Dad, that makes a lot of sense. I can't. That's it. Yeah, there it is. Lilo and Stitch. They just redid that one. And I'm like, why do they keep doing it? Because they're lazy. They're lazy. And they just know they're just going to keep doing it. And I'm sorry. It's a bad look. I'm looking at this picture of The Rock right here. It looks crazy. But see, they're lazy. They could do so much goodwill. Bring in, you know, I don't know, just different fairy tales or different folklore from different countries in Africa or even Asia. They got them too. South America, they got them that maybe have been untapped and never been heard of before. And no, I'm not talking about some Aztec Batman, right? Not talking about that. Like something that's germane to South America, something that's unique to Asia, something that is only in the Indian continent. Like, stick with that. That would be something cool. They could be so much better. They could do so much better. Then you have a brand new audience. You don't have to do this remaster and try to hornswoggle people to think that Starfleet Academy is Star Trek, because it's not. It was terrible. But you could just bring in a whole new idea that doesn't have anything to do with that. Whole new idea. Yes, we had a good conversation about that. I just thought it was fun to have a talk with her because she was dialed in this morning. She was dialed in about that thing. She was dialed in. She was like, "Oh, I want to talk about this, Dad." I said, "Well, we'll say less as long as you're driving. I don't care. I'm listening to you, my G." Disney has never been good at live action. Anything from cartoons. That's what I'm saying. Like, just stop. Just stop. They don't need big budget. Okay, so this will be because I've been waiting y'all know I've been waiting to rant about this for like 3 months. Stop doing these big, gigantic $200 million budget movies. Stop it. Just stop it. Because you know what we don't do anymore? We don't do Westerns anymore. You know why? Because there was a whole genre of Westerns. And there's a big thing about Westerns. Action movies, you know. Then we went to science fiction action movies. So we had these seasons. Like, start a new season, start a new genre. Okay, fine. And is there the equivalent Westerns from Latin America? Are there equivalent of Westerns or detective movies? Where are detective movies? Like, you could do so much better. And stop doing these gigantic $200 million budget movies. Stop it. You're not going to make that money back anymore. I don't think the $1 billion movie is over. This summer, looking at the movies come out this summer, maybe that Michael Jackson movie, but I don't see anything coming out this summer that's going, well, and even in that, it's a biography. That's not an action movie. Marvel, just give it up. Don't expect anything to hit 500 million in the theaters. It's not going to happen. Doomsday is not going to do it. Just give it up. What is it? Secret Wars? Don't even try. Do not even pass go. They're not going to do it. And so if Disney wants to succeed and wants to continue, stop doing these big budget movies. Stop it. 30, 40, $50 million budget movie and put good effort into it. Good writers. Stop using these crackheads that y'all been using. Get good writers. Stop using Chat GPT like y'all did for Starfleet Academy. Y'all really did use Chat GPT to write the script for Starfleet Academy. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But stop doing it because you're not making the money back. You're losing the money. You're losing it. The fact that Fantastic Four First Steps was at the movie theater for only like 4 weeks, and then y'all put it on streaming, that was it. Y'all lost that. Money gone. Y'all had 5 Marvel flops last year. That's crazy work. That's never happened before. Just stop. You don't need a $200 million budget movie. 50, maybe 55, but that's it. When you add marketing, which is about half of it, you're somewhere close to around $80 million. No more. Stop doing it. And I think Disney could. All of them could, but they have to stop. They have to stop with these big budget movies because they're just not going to get the return. And over time, the IP loses its flair. The IP loses its appeal. And then people say things like superhero fatigue. I don't think people have superhero fatigue. They have bad story writing fatigue. That's my opinion, because most of the movies came out last year, superhero movies came out last year, were horrible. The last good movie y'all had was Deadpool and Wolverine, and that was in 2024, I believe. That's the last good one. And y'all do pretty well with the Spider-Man movies, I will say that. And I think it was a Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out. That one's probably going to do well, so I'll take that back. That one probably will do 500. It looks pretty good. But, I mean, that's it. And that's a Sony movie, by the way. It's not even a Disney movie. So it's not under the Marvel Studio banner. So that's a Disney movie. So even in that, you're still not going to get it. Oh, mercy. I hear somebody come in my office.
Do we have any heavy whipping cream that might not be in the fridge or something?
No. Yeah, see, stop making remakes. See, that's the thing. Stop making the remakes. Make new movies. If I'm telling y'all, I've done this before when I used to do like comic book reviews. I went on a rant about The Little Mermaid. And I'm like, Disney is so lazy. The fact that Disney already owns all of the Marvel catalog except for Spider-Man. They own all of it. And there's so many characters that they could use that are just Black characters. You don't have to make a Black Little Mermaid. They could have done anything they wanted to. There's already a Black Little Mermaid in the Little Mermaid universe. Her name is Gabrielle. They could have used her instead of using a Black Ariel just to make people mad. Like, rage baiting doesn't work, and people get tired of it after times. So but see, Disney doesn't, but the movies that Disney is putting out at this moment are not good movies. Like, why not put out good movies? Like, why not start with a good story and then find a good actor, actress to do the various and sundry? It's like y'all start with the actor and actress and say, okay, let's make a story. And again, like, y'all gonna come back to this internet, the Lord's internet, around the first week in January when the doomsday numbers come in and everybody says it was a total and utter flop. That movie, if I'm not mistaken, is rumored to have done, it's cost $550 million already. already. That's a rumor, but you never really know the final number. But again, if half of that is going to be needed to budget it, to market it, we're almost at $1 billion and you haven't even turned the camera on yet. You haven't even sat a butt in the seat. That's crazy work. Like, they could just do better. If they wanted to, they just need better writers. But see, I've said this before. I'll say it again because I'm just ranting now. I'm just ranting. Marvel Studios, DC Extended Universe Studios, really all of them. When you do, let's stay with superhero movies for a second. If the person writing the superhero movie and science fiction movie does not have a tattoo of Marvel or DC on their body, they can't write for you. That's it. If they don't have a shelf full of all of the different statues of their comic book characters, they can't write for you. Marvel, DC, all of y'all need to hire nerds that have all the extended Star Trek comic books or novels. If they don't have that, get rid of them. You can't write for us. You can only write for us if you are a lunatic for the brand. Think about it. Think about how many times you've heard, and maybe you don't do this. I do listen to this because I do kind of, I be ear hustling every now and then. How many times directors tell directors tell the producers and actors, don't read the source material. Don't do that. That happened in Thor. That happened in Shazam. That happened in Black Panther. They told the actors, don't read the source materials. Don't go to the comic book stores. Don't worry about it. You won't need it. How's that? That's crazy work. No, you would want somebody who actually cares about the content. So that's my argument about it. They need people who really, truly care about the IP. What does it say here, Jason? A writer cannot write a good story nor a good film, manuscript, screenplay when literally every character is morally ambiguous, gay, and self-insert. Well, that's the problem. Like that's a byproduct of where we are today. And to me, producers need to stop that stuff, or directors need to stop that stuff. But I understand the self-insert and it is a problem, but look at what it's done. Y'all know I've been talking low key about Starfleet Academy because I did like Star Trek. I thought Star Trek was super cool. And some of the technology, a lot of the technology that we see in the early Star Trek, the series, we see today, like our phones. This is a byproduct of Star Trek. Okay. The iPad is a byproduct of Star Trek. There's tons of other things, but let me continue. So the fact that show costs between $8 to $10 million per episode, and they filmed 20 episodes. They did season 1 is 10, season 2 is another 10. That means they would needed to have brought in somewhere in the ballpark of $500 million to make it worth it because they've been advertising like crazy. The show didn't even register on their own streaming platform. That's like me running for president of my house and I don't even get any votes in my own house. That's crazy work. That's crazy work. Wait, what do we have here? Uh-oh, somebody's not a kid. Oh, what we got? Well, if that's the case, my son should write for them. He has an entire room. But you know what? He should write. I'm gonna tell you right now, because Chief Executive Secondborn, she likes to write. And she likes writing plays. And so I've been kind of like stoking her to like, hey, maybe you should write this in a format that it could be put into a book, because that's the next step for it to be like something that a play being taken by somebody seriously. It needs to be in a format that can be taken seriously. So she's been trying to write it. She's been working on this play of hers. And so she's really into it. She really likes writing plays. I'm like, well, say less, then go ahead and do it, girl. And so to your son, write some screenplays, write some stories. Keep them to yourself, go through the proper steps and make sure he has control of them. Don't lose control of your content. It's your work, but write them. Why not? To me, I think the problem is too many people look at other people to do it, and I don't think they realize that they could be doing it. Yeah, like this Netflix Narnia, that's a disaster waiting to happen. We don't need a retelling of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Why not the Emperor's Son? The Magician's Nephew. What about the Silver Chair? What about Boy and a Horse? Why are we redoing the Chronicles of Narnia? Why are they redoing it? Because they're lazy, right? Say it with me, boys and girls. They're lazy. That's why they're redoing the Chronicles of Narnia. Because they're lazy. There's so much that they could be doing besides Chronicle of Narnia. Jump over to Narnia and deal with that. They could do so much more, but nope, they're going to be lazy. I mean, yeah, fan fictions could be the only. Truth be told, I think I think Star Trek Academy was a fan fiction, but it wasn't by fans. That's the problem. The fans were crazy. Yep. See, there they go. And so instead of it being faithful, because they just could have done another one of his writings. They did not have to do The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. They don't have to redo it. Yeah, tell him to write. Tell him to write. I think he should. Shout out to him. Shout out to English professors. They should be doing that now, though. They should not. They should leave The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe alone and just do The Magician's Nephew. There's no reason. Like, just leave it alone. Let it be alone. Leave it alone. It ended well. Everybody was pleased and happy with it. There's no reason to bring it in here. Make Aslan a female. Come on, man. Like, for what reason? So everybody can be mad at you, and then they're not going to watch it. Then they're going to be talking about you. They're going to be making fun of you on this here internet. There's no reason. They don't need to be training AI. They should be going to write them now. Just going to write. Just make writing great again. All right, good people. That was fun. Thank y'all so much. Oh, wait. Hold on. Okay, let's see what that means. Okay, sorry about that. I had somebody send me an email. I just hit him back real quick. So hit him back real quick. All right, what do we have here? All right, looks good. Okay, back over. I'm back on. I'm focused. Yeah, I'm focused. AI is horrible at writing. Absolutely. If you listen to, there was a review of like the first 3 episodes of Starfleet Academy, and they were talking about how they think that some of it was written by AI, and there is a very valid and cogent argument that whole script was written by AI, because it just doesn't make sense. Like, humans don't look at humans and people like that. It doesn't make sense, especially some of the monologues from the antagonist. I forgot the guy's name, but if you go look at it and just like do a search, Starfleet Academy AI script or something like that. It is very funny, man. It was actually pretty comical. Hold on, let me see if I can find it real quick. And I just thought it was funny how people realized that it was that this might have been an AI script. Oh, crackers! I can't find it. Maybe I'll put it in the description or something. I'll find it. All right, good people. Let's do this again. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Oh, we got a good day tomorrow, so we can definitely rock out tomorrow. Planning to, Lord willing, jump back in here around 5 o'clock. What do we have here? Why would you outsource something so uniquely human as writing it? Right. I have no idea. No clue. No clue. No clue. But look what they got, though. They got exactly what they paid for. I'm trying to find it. I'm trying to like multitask because it was a really good video about the fact, or rather the idea, that Starfleet Academy was written by AI, which is kind of crazy work. I'll find it. Let me stop. Let's stay focused. Everybody, thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Let's do this again real soon. My goal, my plan is not to come back tonight. If something happens, something pops off, I'll be back. But otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow. I do have a video dropping later on tonight at 9 o'clock. So that'll be popping up, of course. So go check that out. Help your brother out. Everybody, thank you so much. Please make sure you tip your waiters on the way out the door. Drop those green hearts. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Hit that hype. If you're over there on the vertical stream, you've been causing trouble, hit that hype button for sure. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, if I've earned it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. Everybody, I'm looking forward to seeing you all real soon. So until then, grace and peace. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Jay Whip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, please do me a favor and hit me up with that 3-piece special. Like the video, subscribe, and of course, share it with somebody who would also enjoy this type of content. And make sure you leave a comment because I do pin the best comments to the top. So thank you so much for tuning in today. And until next time, everybody, grace and peace.